Hello and welcome everybody to Corporate Esports Association. We're here to celebrate the three Fs: friends, family, and fans of Valorant. Myself and Moxie Sir Waltham here at the helm, ready to bring you another week of some fantastic Valorant gameplay. And Mox, not only is this, just another week, but this is the final week. We are very hyped to have It's Always Rush B and Off Your Feed here in this last match.
Yeah, the fourth F, if you will, the
Yes,
finals.
yes.
CEA season, it's all been building up to this Waltham. It's always Rush B versus Off Your Feet, and these are teams that have actually met each other before. They've regularly scrimmed, they've regularly practiced against each other, but they also met in the regular season. I believe that was round 3, match 8, and Off Your Feet actually came away with the victory. That was, of course, when it was a best of one. So whether or not we'll see It's Always Rush B take the victory when it comes to that slightly longer series, well, we'll be
Hmm.
finding out very shortly.
Uh, Slightly longer, but I mean, it can be up to 3 times as long. So we'll see exactly how it pans out here. But one thing we know we won't be seeing, much to your sadness, I can imagine, is that ice box that did get banned out. So we're going to be seeing Haven and Bind, as well as maybe Ascent if we do go into that third map. And so far, some decent, some fairly conventional map picks there. Pretty traditional for what we see.
Yeah. It's Always Rush B have obviously been doing their homework, obviously. We did get to see Ice total of 1 time in this tournament, Waltham, and that was last week when Off Your Feed were actually able to pick up victory there. And obviously, it's an unknown variable to a lot of these teams. When we talk to them in the pre-show with interviews, we often ask them, how are you going to deal with either new agents coming in or the new map? And a lot of the time the response was insta-ban it. And that is the exact situation that we find ourselves falling into here, because why take the enemy that you don't know when you can have the enemy on a map that you have practiced ever since Valorant came out?
A very good point here, considering especially that, there's a little bit of prize pool available here for these teams. Of course, for the first place, it's going to be 3,200, 3,200 if you prefer. For second place, 1,600, so almost half. You're going to want to double your winnings by coming out on top of this finals matchup. Definitely these two teams going to be hungry for that, Mox.
Absolutely, and we're actually starting to see a couple of lock-ins coming through. Citron teased the stage for a couple of seconds, but it's not bind, which I think is where we have the best possible place to see
Mhm.
her start to come in. EU, if you've been keeping up with First Strike, really do like to still run that stage. The American region, a little bit more uncomfortable with having that sort of playstyle. Instead, it will be the Killjoy as the Sentinel and the Sova alongside. Going to be up for It's Always Rush B, who will be defending first, and Off Your Feed will be attacking first with Sova and a Phoenix. So going to be utilizing those flashes, trying to barge their way on through, and at the same time you can send your jet halfway across the other part of the map to try and pick up that early frag.
And we'll certainly see here as a quick reminder before this round starts. Do not forget, folks, registrations for next season will be open at cea.gg. So make sure you get in your registrations if that's something you're looking for. But now, Off Your Feet going to be going in here. We, of course, seeing they have a couple of ghosts, a couple of frenzies in their pockets ready to go into this first round.
No, you actually saw a couple of seconds there, Hero dropping that Killjoy utility all through Garage will be holding down C by themselves, so if Off Your Feet do want to push that area, they will be coming face to face with the turret, with the Nanoswarm. And even if they don't get hit by it, you will still have that information. Purple gonna be coming out, trying to flash out anyone in C window as they start to move through on site.
Tendi and Tangelo going to be looking to move up on towards that C, but it's a little bit of resistance being met from their opponents, and it's always, eventually the kills coming through, it's always coming out a little bit cleaner than that Off Your Feet, especially Tangelo now looking a little bit swarmed here. Has to be very careful as Reina has the rotation to be made, eventually takes down that Phoenix, and with that, it's going to be the first point going over to the defenders.
There was a alert coming through as well from It's Always Rush B. As soon as they got that information from the Killjoy, you actually saw the rotation from A site towards the C, so if it was that C push, you could cut them off, make sure that the attackers can't just plant the spike and then pull back to Cubby or C long, which is always so horrible for the defenders to have to try and contest with just because they don't have the sightline to try to deal with it. Now Off Your Feet, because they've lost that first round on pistols, they will be at a disadvantage from the get-go moving into this one when it comes to weaponry. They want to save for that third round, but here is actually going to force onto the Marshal. And now we're really going to see that C-long site completely suffocated for the attacking side to try and deal with.
Right now, the defenders just trying to buy themselves a little bit of time with that Molotov coming out from Akubar, just trying to get that separation a little bit, allow themselves to get away, get into a more advantageous position as eventually the attackers will back off because of it. Right now, just waiting to get their ducks in a row before they push up here onto that A site. The rotations not quite coming through as quickly, at least not the full commitment of the rotations coming through for the defense. They do want to have some sort of C presence as we see Tendy Town waiting and waiting for their stage to join them. Pigmaster going to be trying to take the rotation, eventually does and gets Impacty off the back end of it. Angelo trying to take the duel in their counterpart, but eventually Khan comes in to settle the score just a little bit off your feet. Once again, suffering for that manpower, but they don't quite have the distance just yet. It's going to be all into Khan with just a single classic to try to make things happen. Eventually peeked up from top from Cho Mama, and with that, the defenders take their second.
That's why we actually saw it. So it's supposed to be very reluctant to move in and try and contest off your feet as they move towards that A site. They knew if the distance was in their favor, the fight was in their favor. Spectre Spray is always going to beat down Classic. And Seattle's able to do just enough before falling 3 kills, winning that defensive side of the round. But now, this is where the real fight begins. Both teams now buying.
There. Placing sentry.
And now off your feed will have the true test to get onto this point as CE is looking pretty hard to crack right now with the Killjoy, with the Sova. There's so much information coming through already. The recon bot going to be sent down. It is destroyed, but you still get the information even though it doesn't technically tag anyone up. You still know someone's there to shoot at.
Yeah, I do see off your feed going a little bit split here. They drop the spike leaning towards that C push, but they're sending out feelers towards A as well. Just keeping eyes off, or eyes on rather, being very calm right about now. Angela sees the opponents kind of hopping over those barrels, gets to the ult orb, eventually just going to be backing out, trying to regroup with their team as now it looks like the push is going to be for that A side.
Well, one curveball already used for It's Always Rush, and that could be instrumental, Waltham, because now you don't have one of those 2 flashes to try and put a stop to off your feed's aggression with the knives available for the attacking side. If they want their jet to move forward and dash onto that site to try and find a kill with the ultimate, there's absolutely now the potential for that to happen.
It's going to have to be that Cypher pushing through a little bit blind, but speaking of blinds, that curveball going to be coming through. And Teddy Town getting banged by both Phoenixes here, really trying to hold a point. And so far, Occupy do have a little bit of point presence. Cash that Sova out. Chomama not able to take the high ground this time around. The Cypher cage going to be limiting those lines of sight, and now it's just the Killjoy coming in from spawn. Impacty on that high ground as well, trying to find any advantage they can, but up your feed, not giving it to him. It's going to be the utility trying to come out from a Hey Ray, it seems. That sentry gun trying to lock on, can't quite find it, and with that, everybody goes down for the defenders. Attackers will be coming up with their first point.
It's such a good play, and it all comes back down to baiting out that curveball. Because it means that you get outflashed. You get pinned down behind the cover. One flash comes out, sure, it hits the right side, but nothing is guarding your left flank, and that's all off your feed need. They've got the numbers, they're full pushing one of the points. It's always Rush. We are trying to go for the delay tactic so that they can get their rotations off safely. And in that last little bit of seconds, off your feet are able to win themselves the round as a whole, as now we will see the defense. Pistols coming on through, scatterings of light armor. Off your feet, if they know that economy that It's Always Rush are going to be holding on to, they can just spray them down from far, and that's exactly what Citron's doing.
A little bit of that range that you were talking about a little bit earlier. Mong's going to be taking down the Killjoy early on, meaning that that utility also pulled out from the fight. It looks like the linings of the attackers are going to be going towards that C site. They're leading in with the jet. Seattle trying to hold window, doesn't quite realize there's not a whole lot of reinforcements that are going to be going that way. Chomama, however, in a rough spot, eventually just turned on by Pigmaster, taking that corner, casually walking up, putting a bullet in their head with the Vandal. Now things are looking very good as off your feed have this point. 2 members left on the defenders who now have to try to retake an ugly position.
It's Always Rush B. Now they just want to try and take one of these guns away from off your feed. They won't be able to win the round, but they might be able to cripple the other side's economy, and Seattle is just going to be holding position with the Sheriff, hoping that someone walks into them so that they can line that side up and do exactly that.
Pigmaster gonna have to be a little bit careful here. That Omen can wrap around if they aren't being diligent enough, although it looks like right now, for the time being, it's just going to be holding on to those a few remaining members. Seattle keeping eyes towards that garage area, but eventually it's going to be the bomb ticking down, and it sounds like this is pretty much just going to be the save for the defense.
Yeah, it's not a lot of firepower, but when your economy is in as precarious a position as it is for that defense, every little bit counts. Even if it is just those upgraded pistols. And now you can probably come into this next round, you've got a little bit more firepower in front of you, you've got access to the Empress, so if you really do want to send a very early message in this round, you can just pop that one. And as we see some Reynas do on Haven, just burst through those mid doors and try and get a pick with that uploaded spray. And Seattle is going to try and smoke off A. Got the Judge is going to be using that smoke to try and get themselves into this fight close enough to make a bullet actually count from that gun. You're about to get curveballed and there's nothing you can do.
Denja going to be walking right into a Judge. A little bit of the recon there, but not taken down, as they do still have that run it back. Gives them a little bit of healing, but they need a little bit more coming through from the hot hands. As now Off Your Feet still up that 2-member, looking good so far, but they don't look to press their advantage too aggressively just yet. In fact, they're going to back out, perhaps reconsider where they want to push in through the defense, trying to stay scattered despite being man down.
I mean, honestly, Off Your Feet have done exactly what they need to do. They've absolutely crippled this defensive side. Haven has 3 points to play with. You've only got 3 players remaining. And you can see the rotations. It's always rushed. We have no idea whether Off Your Feet are going to try and push that advantage on A because they took so long. They backed out like they didn't want it, and then boom, back they come now that they think it's always rushed. We have relocated.
We do see the recon arrow trying to come through from the Zova. Just keeping eyes up, but the bomb is going to be planted on that A site. Now the defense really going to have to work to make this account here. Chomama looking to lean in with Impacty on that Reyna, trying to perhaps get advantage here, but again, a grim task. You see the Killjoy trying to get a little bit of information here. Oh, but Citron able to take down both. I believe Chomama hit through Hey Ray. And with that, now it's all going to be on the Reyna. Not going to be able to provide the benefit that they need there, as Tennytown takes them down. A flawless round for the attackers.
It was those first 2 kills that really were the nail in the coffin for It's Always Rushby in that round. The second you lose 2 players on defensive side of Haven, you can't allow the attacking side to get on the point. Otherwise, there are just too many angles for that recontest. And unfortunately, we saw exactly what happens when you just don't have that numbers advantage on your side. You come through, you try and go for the separate players. One goes for Heaven, 2 try to move on through, splintering away from that B site. But now they're in a very precarious position when it comes to points, and a very precarious position when it comes to weaponry. And once again, we're going to see Off Your Feet try and go aggressive. They know It's Always Rushby are going to have to try and close up this distance. Curveball coming out, Akiba trying to buy the time, just find any shot. One pick already coming in though.
Now the information as well from Off Your Feed going to be revealing the location of the enemies. We'll get a little bit of a better read on that one, perhaps showing that A's not as covered. Pigmaster taking down a 2 with the Vandal, trying to take the turns with the Frenzy, but the Killjoy not quite able to find it. Hey Ray going to be brought to their knees, and now it's Impacty on a lone mission. Once again, this Reyna has to be the one to make it happen. Question is, can they?
Sheriff and Empress, you don't want to pop that in this situation though. And not a lot of HP. Remember, Reyna does have that unique ability where if she's able to get a kill, she can channel that into healing herself, and that server is looking mighty juicy right now on that HP, but Impact is just so far away from the action. Has been able to trade up. Vandal picked up, that was why we saw such a long rotation coming out from them. Now they have a fair fight as Pigmaster with the 100 HP does get gunned down, and now Impacty can start to heal. Make them move. Lear comes out, catches Khan.
Oh.
But he's still able to win the fight.
Yeah, Khan gonna be getting the better of the Reyna in that situation. And now attackers starting to get a little bit more of a lead here.
I'm looking at this Empress coming out from Impacty, and it's still not used. We will see the Operator come out from Heyray, and that has the same level of threat, if not more. then the Empress poses, but it will be posted up towards A so that you have a little bit of an easier job trying to go for that very sneaky first kill, catching them out as they try and move either onto main or through sewers. But the Cypher cage just completely blocks the sight line. I would much rather that operator be posted up on C with the ease that it has to find a pick, and you know what? Off your feed. The ops on A, they're not gonna get caught out by it.
And the rotation not quite able to come through. Akibar going to be holding up in this building, making sure that they just have those lines of sights now off your feet, holding down onto site as the retake trying to come through for the defense. Town holding it way in the hallway cubby. And they're going to be trying to just stay nestled. Pigmaster in the corner as well, keeps eyes on bomb. Gets the killjoy as the rotation comes through, but Akbar able to make the return kill come through the curveball. Going to be landing from Tangelo, but taken down through the Omen. Smoke Town doing their damage, but can't quite close the kills. However, it is Khan. They're able to equalize as now the attackers coming in. And defenders made quite their mark on that retake.
You've got to ask yourself what would have happened if that ARP had originally been on C.
I agree.
Because off your feet, they all filtered in, and they knew that the operator was in play when they heard that shot as Hayray rotated over to C, but unfortunately, you rotated all the way over from A. You get onto the point, but by the time that you arrive, off your feet have already been able to reposition. One behind the crate, and then everyone else on the lurk and cubby, so the operator, the second it actually comes in to try and find anyone in C long, you fall prey to the jet. Now we will see the Marshal start to come out as off your feet. No, they will have to try and contest with range now that it's always Rush B are pulling out the big guns.
Oh, but they need to be careful. The killjoy in the corner going to be trying to take that aggressive turn, but Citron able to land the shots before Hayray can deal the damage. As now it looks like off your feet going to be leaning in towards that A site push. The Vandal going to be coming through big for Pigmaster, but the auto shotgun going to be coming in a little bit stronger from Seattle. As now Akbar going to be trying to push up towards that A, thinking that there might still be reinforcements there. However, not hearing the movement, not hearing the bomb plant might give them other ideas.
Huntstreet is still in hand for the defense, and that's why they're really waiting before pushing onto this A side. That's why the Sover is still posted up on B. So the Phoenix will get the information if that spike does go down, and surely that will be the sign for the Hunter's Food to rip its way across the map and try to cut off that plant. That can be the moment that Akiba moves in with the wall, with the curveball. Try and catch an already pretty low Sova.
And the opportunity is going to come into effect here, especially as this time bank gets lower and lower. Off your feet and now nestled firmly into that A site. It's going to be the bombs that are coming online. Here the bomb being planted to Akubar. Not going to quite be initiating with that Hunter's Fury or allowing that Hunter's Fury from Chomama. Instead, it will just be the kills that are coming through. The defense able to land their shots, getting the defuse now. A great opportunity, and they still get to hold on to that ultimate.
Absolutely, that was huge. The fact that Akibar still had a curveball to actually barge the way onto the site safely was monumentous, and then you can come into the fight. You get one down, you brute force the poor Omen to just move away to sewers. You can go for the bait diffuse, you know exactly where they're going to be playing, but Hayray is not going to be buying that operator yet again, sacrificing the heavy armor. That's how badly this agent really wants that weapon, Waltham, and once again going to be posted on this A side. And once again, off your feed, going to be halfway across the other side of the map as the Cypher's there with the cage to try and cut off that sightline again.
Exactly what's going to happen. Hayray being forced to reposition a little bit, but Khan does get taken down, so the early opening here gonna be for the side of the defense, although they still have to wait for the attackers to push in. The attackers will allow themselves a moment to regroup. Have to be careful as that Omen is pushed very far forward on A long, as the smoke's going to slowly be trying to push through it. But Tangelo still holding this corner as well. A little bit of shots being exchanged, but so far nothing too extreme. It's going to be the smoke coming out of smoke. Seattle now being very careful, has to keep their eyes on the back as off your feet going to be slowly pushing through. It's going to be the curveball coming out, lands, but it's going to be Tendy Town. Not quite getting the better yet, but eventually the cleanup does come through. And that defense continuing to push strong. Tangelo the next to be taken down, and it is all on the Sova. Citron here doesn't have the spike, has to make a little bit of a run to get it, or just hope to frag out the 5, but you think that the spike's going to be the easier way out, Mox.
Oh, Citron is able to get Hey Ray. That means Operator gone. Able to pick up 2. That is a win in the attacker's book. Remember, for Rush B, they sacrifice a lot of their currency, 5,000 credits, to pick that weaponry up, and now it's just lying on the floor. Citron with the Vandals moving towards that spike. A is completely abandoned. Arena will be there to very quickly move on to that site. But I mean, you've got 10 seconds, you've got to just rush on to B. It's the point you're closest to.
But
And you
no
are right away revealed.
No opportunity for the plant there. Citron, however, still able to take the economy away from their opponents in a crippling fashion. Still gets the 5 kills just a moment too late. So a good equalization there. Going to make always Rush B hurt all that much more in their wallets.
Oh, Hey Ray's kicking themselves right now. 3,300 credits. You can see they're saving. They want the up again. It's the lonely pistol. Not even any piece of armor to that Killjoy's name. So actually, they give up their credits. They do buy. It's not a rifle, but it is still a weapon, and you do have to think, how is this lockdown going to be utilized?
Well, off your feet, looking pretty methodical so far. Once again, lining up towards that C. They know that even if there was an up, which not quite the case, it wouldn't be probably posted up towards that C. It's going to be the scouting coming out from the Omen. Just getting eyes out a little bit early on, but the curveball from Akibar allows that takedown on Tangelo. Big Master soon to follow as well. And now the Hunter Sphere are going to be revealing Akibar's location. Akibar does have that firewall. Themselves a little bit healed up here as off your feed now to kind of pivot their strategy, Mox.
A is completely abandoned. They might get cut off by the Killjoy. It was currently wrapping through mid. But A is still absolutely empty of defenders, and the Cypher should hit it, before the Phoenix or the Arena get anywhere near that high ground. Akibar will be there to try and back the Arena up. They know they can hear the plant. They can see the dark cover. They can start to try to move in on this. They do still have all full health bars, and that is an advantage they can use. As Hey Ray is wrapped all the way around the side of the map, pokes up the turret, will have sights on the high ground. He's able to track down a little bit of utility through the sewers, and that does mean that poor old Citron is now the lone Sova against the world. Was able to do it in the last round, but not this time.
Citron just falling a bit short there. The defenders will end up getting the defusal, and now the score lines are tied up at 5 a pop here, Mox, and things are looking pretty competitive so far, despite what has been a pretty rough economy for Rush B.
Yeah, always Rush B really do like to buy some pretty heavy weaponry and then place it in positions with agents that you don't really expect it to be carrying, right? When you say operator, you immediately think either Reyna or Jet because they have the escapability if they do get pushed aggressively, whereas Killjoy does not really have that available to her. When you think up on Haven, you normally also think, see long. But being unpredictable really is feeding into that wheelhouse because if you don't really know where they're going to be playing, where that weapon will be. So they have to be a lot more cautious about how they poke out these sightlines and already invest a lot more utility in trying to figure out where it's going to be without losing their heads.
Now, as we look ahead, speaking of which, off your feet going to be pushing up. Have to be careful keeping eyes towards Garage. There is that Phoenix. Keeping their nose to the door, making sure that any of those pushes are going to be a little bit more dangerous and nice. Fire going to be coming through, giving a little bit of separation. Akibar as well, able to close the kill. The firewall coming up. Takes the shot onto the Omen. Tendi not quite checking behind the wall. Could not take that opportunity, but Big Master knows that the Phoenix will be there, gets the kill. Now it's looking a little bit equalized here. However, that Sova going to be licking their wounds for the moment. But hey, Ray on the rotation once again gets the double kill. Eventually has to take the angle to avoid getting caught out by the recon arrow, but Citron still has the idea, especially as that swarm grenade comes out. And once again, this Silva has to try to make it happen, but doesn't quite seem able to, especially with that low health.
Not trying to shock dart to just buy themselves a little bit of time. They know that Chomama has wrapped through Courtyard, or rather they know an agent has wrapped through. Now, I will give it away. The recon bolt, and it forces Citron to take the fight. Mama easily wins. Citron, I believe, is only on 9 HP.
Last round in the half.
And we've seen always rush B, right? We've seen them hold on to these ultimates, the lockdown, the Empress. For so many rounds. It is lost before the swap. If there's anywhere that we're going to see these get popped, it will be now. And I am very interested to see how Hey Ray plays this, because this is a killjoy that really does like to rotate. And a couple of killjoys that do like to rotate are more than happy to just give up the site to the attacking side so that you know you're going to catch multiple members out with the lockdown. And use that for the recontest fight. Knives already going to be popped so early on in the round. As off your feet just wanted to stampede onto this A site. Seattle already thinking about maybe relocating to that high ground before getting overwhelmed.
And we can certainly see your Seattle trying to take that peak battle. Eventually does lose it to Citron. Now as Pennytown continues to push up, it's going to be Impacty taken down that Reyna. Not able to come out with the value that she'd desire for. However, Spike still not planted at A. It's going to be the Jet ferrying it eventually as Pigmaster does go in for the plant. Akbar taking the rotation from spawn, takes the curveball out, but doesn't push with it too aggressively. It's going to be the defenders throwing in the lockdown, as you mentioned there, Mox. Look to buy themselves quite a bit of space and a huge opportunity for a possible defuse.
They have to relocate. Pigmaster is going to be the one that they're putting a lot of hopes onto with those knives. Not a lot of HP though. Tangela's trying to just even things out on that health always before the Jet can move in. And unfortunately, Hero is actually able to completely nullify that ultimate. As off your feet, they tried to run from the lockdown, Waltham. They tried to give up the space, but it just allowed us always Rush B to move towards that spike and absolutely swarm it.
Yeah, you mentioned it at the beginning of the round there. The Killjoy coming in absolutely valuable for the defense. Now attacking team of Always Rush, where you just had so much space to give, Mox.
I mean, it is an attacking Killjoy now, and that does lose a fair bit of value. It's not the same as the Cypher with the cameras. You can still dunk the turret down to figure out whether you're getting flanked, and that I think is going to be really key. Because we are seeing a lot of these players really do like to go for those very long rotations where they pop out of what you really don't expect.
As now we look ahead and be seeing, again, a couple of ghosts on the field. Quite a few ghosts, actually. As already off your feed getting very aggressive here. Going to be taking that angle into A. Getting a couple of kills as well, despite short a few members. Tendytown throwing in the smoke, but gets caught out. Seattle able to take the shot, and with that Spike still within the range of A, it's going to be the Sova and the Omen both backing out. Soft shoeing just a bit, perhaps trying to get another angle, perhaps find another aggressive take that they can have here, Mox.
Off your feet are starting to rotate now. A was not pushed by the two remaining members of It's Always Rush B. B will not be either. C is the site to hit, but they're going to be passing through that Cypher utility. Khan only needs to check the camera. There it is. You know exactly where the attackers are, and here it comes. Khan wanting to go through Garage. Sova wanting to move through C-Link. At this point, at the exact same time as the lurk comes through Chomama and Cubby. Absolutely nothing for these defenders to try and obscure the line of sight. Dark Cover going to be coming down, trying to make sure that the defuse does not come through cleanly.
And the shots trying to come through. Don't believe that was the first half quite yet achieved. Seattle actually getting the shots through the smoke, able to get 4. And yeah, you have the tripwire that lets you know that the attackers are in that hallway, but what can you do? You just don't quite have the range, and they're going to know where you have to go.
That's why you're really regretting not picking up that Sage.
Yeah,
because when you have the Sage, the other side can never just pull back to Cubby and completely abandon the point, otherwise they're going to get walled off, and that was the problem that the defenders unfortunately ran into. They just didn't have any utility that really made sure that It's Always Rush B just could not go for that lurk and pop out when the defuse sounds. They didn't have the smokes, they didn't have the Cypher gauge. Shock darts had already been expanded, as we will see a different round coming through. It's Always Rush B starting to pull ahead, looking a fair bit more comfortable on the attack, it is fair to say, as off your feet looking very uncomfortable on the classics.
Off your feet is certainly going to be reeling just a little bit, as we do see It's Always pushing up. We're seeing Impacty go towards that garage, sniffing out that Jet perhaps, or at least waiting to sniff them out. But a lot of off your feed being located around that garage area. The Phoenix in the window of garage. Eventually it will be Pig taken down. As we look ahead, Impacty keeping eyes around, tries to go with the exchange shots, does get the kill onto Tangelo. As we see them now continuing just to debate what angles they want to take, they do have that man advantage.
Yeah, defense getting a little bit overconfident there. And it's always Rush be biding their time, playing for picks. Just jumping in on the players that reveal themselves as now. They will start to use the numbers that they've got hit A side. They don't know that it's abandoned. They're checking all of their corners. Not a lot of utility invested to trying to make sure that it's clear, but unfortunately Seattle does pay for that one. Try to make Off Your Feet think that it was a B push, try to create a little bit of noise. You've done your job well, sir. Your team are now safely on that side.
As now Teddy Town going to be trying to take the aggressive angles with the Frenzy, not quite able to find it. Citron going to be falling with their comrade. Their attackers going to be winning, but it's just a weaker arsenal coming through for the defensive team, so not too big of a surprise there, Mox.
Off Your Feet are going to be scratching their minds in these next couple of rounds, because it's always Rush B. They've got the From the Shadows, and we've seen they're more than happy to throw people to the wolves to make Off Your Feet think that the spike is somewhere where it currently isn't, so I'm not going to be surprised if we see Seattle just try and drop that ultimate and take the spike somewhere that Off Your Feet aren't expecting, and that means that the defense has to be so careful about how they rotate their pieces. Already going to be using the From the Shadows very early on, wanting to get a little bit of information. Does see one player.
He does commit to the teleport, but not able to get the better of Citron, and Citron perhaps using those sound cues to really suss out their opponents here. Now Off Your Feet holding very strongly. Hey Ray, gonna be catching out Citron in the end, finding them in that corner below heaven, as now the attackers getting set up on site. It's just the Omen, just the Phoenix who have to try to make this retake happen as the spike does go down. Impacting now holding underneath that heaven angle. Gonna be a critical spot to make sure you keep eyes out for Tennytown. Gonna be looking to cause a little bit of mayhem here, as Tangelo getting ready to line up for some shots as well. It's going to be the firewall going up. Shots coming through. Akubar taken down as the paranoia hits them, but it's not enough. Attackers do end up winning before the bomb even goes off.
It was a good try with that recontest, using the Blaze Walls, trying to guys your passage onto the site, but unfortunately you only really cut off Hell. You saw the Phoenix, they spotted out the agent on their right, but it was just a little bit too late. And now you will start to see Off Your Feet in that uncomfortable position that the defense really does not want to be in. On that eco push, waiting for the next round to find any sort of impact, and so now they have to play it slow. Often they have to pick a space, hide behind it, and hope that it's always Rush B don't check their angles.
That's exactly how careless the team gets here, as Seattle pushing through that smoke doesn't quite make contact with Akashi just yet. Eventually does find a Pig, takes the shot. Only a few shots landing onto them, but it's equalized with the kill onto Impacty from Off Your Feet. So a good opportunity there, but Citron getting leveled as well. Tennytown trying to hold B. Doesn't quite have the clue that perhaps the rotation is not going to come there from the attackers, as now they're lining up towards that C angle.
It's a good idea too. You know that Off Your Feet, they're on that broken by. They can't really go for the distance fight, and it gets extremely hard to get close on C when it's in control of the attacking side. And we'll be coming through garage, but you're making a big old noise. I know exactly where you're coming from. Here we're already turning to meet the Cypher. The Phoenix has moved towards the link. Ultimate up. Run it back can be used to get a bit of information or go for a kill without punishment.
And it's the dual push trying to come through from Off Your Feet, but Tangelo not quite able to land the shots onto the killjoy that they absolutely needed to there, and because of that, it looks like the attackers will be lining up for a huge opportunity. And the curveball tries to come through. Phoenix does pick up that Phantom. Tangelo just trying to make their way into some sort of safety here as that bomb slowly starts to tick down. Akubar gonna have to be avoiding that fire from the hot hands, as now the attackers do end up coming in big here. Akubar eventually taken down, so a nice little equalization. They're trying to come through from Tangelo.
Yeah. Akubar did not actually think that Tangelo would have gone aggressively up. And is so able to win out that Phoenix versus Phoenix as the attackers. They've got the lockdown colored in. They've got the run it back. They've got the Emperor so much available. One thing the defense does have, though, is this operator, and it is in the hands of the traditional Opper, the Jet player. We'll be trying to find that early first pick. Currently posted up on the B side, so neither the A, neither the C. That might be a little bit more unexpected. As now it's always supposed to be being a lot more careful. They know the economy for the other side. They know the operator may potentially be in play, and the Blaze Wall already making sure that they can safely get into sewers if it is their on-ramp.
That pure aggression coming through from always a rush B, trying to go into that short. It's going to be Tangelo trying to wrap around, but eventually will be brought to their knees a little bit. Cocksure there might have gotten the better of them, as now the Omen for the side of Off Your Feet has to be very careful. The last thing Tendy Town wants to do is get caught out in this corner. They're waiting for one or two members to just go over that ledge and then take the shot, but their eyes kind of distracted here, caught in too many directions. Tendy Town picked apart by Impacty eventually, and now the attackers in a very good spot. The defense only has two members still up. They cannot cover all the possible sites here as the team for the attackers. Jemama going to be leading the charge onto the C site. Keeps eyes on that jet, lands the shot. Pigmaster, however, does get the kill with the op onto Ocubar, but they are going to lose that op in the end. A risky investment to end up going up in smoke in the end of Mox.
Khan might just risk it to pick that up. It's a 5,000 credit investment, and if it's always Rush B, they're able to take this point, and they should against everything, the weaponry, the numbers, the fact that the spike is planted. It is a ticking timer right now. Off Your Feet just have to look for that next point. They cannot go in match point on a broken buy.
That is certainly what the case seems to be here, as we see that Cypher Khan hauling, but all the way back to A. Eventually, it will be the operator in hand, holding down that long angle as the bomb gets closer and closer. Eventually, it will explode. Attackers going to be coming out victorious here, but Khan manages to fight another day.
I mean, that's all you wanted. The second that you lost that operator, it stopped being contest the spike, and it became pick that weapon up and run for your life. Defense does have an awful lot of ultimates, and here's the thing, Hunter's Fury is such a good counterbalance for a lockdown because you get all of the attack damage, none of the risk. You don't have to be anywhere near that one, you don't get caught in the radius, you don't lose your weaponry, you don't lose your abilities. But it all means that you have to survive to the point where you can actually use it. As it's always Rush B, they know the op is going to be in play for the other side, they're buying into an op of their own to try and counterbalance it with that firepower.
We do see the Phoenix trying to hold firm here, but early kill on the Khan's not going to be giving them the best opportunity. The run it back, taken advantage of by Tangelo, blinds themselves a little bit, tries to bring out a second curveball. The rough spot there as Hayray gets the kill with the classic. Now going to be bringing out the lockdown, opening things up just a little bit for them. As the Hunter's Fury does come out, as you predicted, Mox trying to get some sort of damage in. Lockdown does get destroyed by the Hunter's Fury, and Pig able to take the shot, almost gets the second onto the Killjoy, keeping that short angle down. And now it's going to be the knives out. Pigmaster trying to throw them into the Reyna, does land at the 3 kill for the Hog there. With that Off Your Feet, again, a little bit of a restabilization.
Okay, Off Your Feet just played that defensive round so beautifully. And there were so many parts that they did perfectly from the start to the finish. Let's start off with the bait play. It's always Rush B. They saw a kill coming in and they didn't turn around to deal with the Phoenix. And that meant that you get an easy 2k. The Hunter's Fury coming in to completely nullify that lockdown, allowing your Jet Pigmaster to use that op, relocate up to heaven, pose a threat, pop out the knives, and then drift down to pick up that one person remaining in hell. But unfortunately, all of that was made possible with ultimates, Waltham, ultimates that they now do not have.
Certainly, the defense still going to have a few in pocket here, however, going to be dependent on perhaps a little bit of recon, all in fact dependent on that recon. As we look ahead, the first kill going in favor of Off Your Feet. Pigmaster trying to hold those operator sight lines down as long as possible, as attacking team getting very cozy up in that garage. We see the Omen rotating towards that C, and now it looks like the attackers a little bit discombobulated. Hayray does get the kill onto Tendy Town. The call-out's gonna be there, especially as that Killjoy is a little bit weaker than you might prefer, Mux.
Yeah, Tendy Town trying to push the attacking side towards that B site, funnel them towards the op shots. So Yowl's going to be using that duck cover, but Pigmaster sees the Omen first. Up has now moved over to that C side, and Spike is moving rapidly away from it. A completely void of any
30
defenders.
seconds left.
And there is no easy way for It's Always Rush B to brute force their way if they meet anybody. The good news is they're not going to. They get onto the site and off your feed. They think it's a C or a B push. They've completely given up A. Now it is a race against time, Waltham.
It certainly is, but there's a little bit of numbers advantage available here for off your feed to make that push just a moment easier. Pigmaster going to be still leaning in with the operator. Going to be very dangerous given they don't know where the opposition is. Although the recon bolt does give them a little bit of information here. The bomb site will eventually be tried to be diffused as we see Pig holding down with that operator. Still Chomama able to take the one kill, buying just a lot of time to defuse, able to go through. Chomama perhaps didn't know where the bomb was, wasn't quite able to land the shots onto it as the defuse comes through the defenders, getting their second in a row.
MVP for that round has got to be Pigmaster, holding on to the Clyde bursts long enough, knowing that it might become a question of the recontest, especially when you give up 2 of those points entirely to hold down C. And that means that they just did not know where the defuse was coming through. You saw the shot so close to their target, but absolutely blind in that time because Pigmaster gets to hold on to the operator again. And Always Rush B have to contest that line of sight again. Akibat already charging up that wall. He's done this every single time these guys have passed through sewer.
And
Now off your feed, they know exactly where the attackers are going to be pressing because Tangelo is thinking it out.
But they might not know where Seattle is as the teleport comes through. Tangelo really throwing that curveball, blinds themselves just a little bit, and because of that, it looks like this is just about it. It's going to be Always holding here, getting the plant, and now just 2 members left for the recontest. Smokes do come out, but they clearly see that it comes from the spawn, so an opportunity here for a little bit more information from It's Always. Advantage they have. Hayray does eventually take down, and with that, a flawless round will be the feather in the cap for It's Always Rush B.
Thank you.
Yeah. Off your feet, they had the operator, but especially when they started losing points so quickly in succession, it really did feel like they were very reluctant to put Pigmaster in a place of danger where the operator could potentially be ripped out of their hands. You could see that with how they positioned themselves very early on in the defensive rounds, where they didn't move towards ramps. They didn't try to go for that very first easy shot, which Always Rush B always expected. Every single time, that's why the Blaze Wheel was coming out, to make sure that the operator would not have a clear sight on whoever was actually passing through to sewers. And because of that, yes, you do safeguard the operator, but the operator, unlike something like a Sage Wall, it loses value the longer the round goes on because it's just such a clunky weapon to take into a recontest fight. Even saw Pigmaster at the end of that had actually swapped up to the Vandal so that they weren't having to lug the operator around, which with the reload time, with how heavy it is, with the fact that you have to scope in and sometimes you just get overwhelmed by the numbers when that fight does get down to the wire, when it really does close up the distance. It just becomes more of a hassle than the one-shot potential, the threat that it should be.
Well, sometimes you have to weigh those pros and cons, the risks and benefits there. However, that was the first game concluded. We are going to be taking a brief break for a minute or two as these teams get themselves readjusted for our next map, which will be Bind. So stick around, folks. You're not going to want to miss it. Like I said, folks, we are back after just a few short moments. Sir Waltham and Mox back to bring you the second game of It's Always Rush B versus Off Your Feed. Facebook versus Amazon. It's Always Rush B taking advantage here early on in our Haven matchup, Mox. And now we're looking to head into Bind. What do you think we might start to see from these teams?
Like I said, if there's anywhere that we're going to see the Sage come out, it's apparently not here.
Oh, such a shame.
Neither of these guys going to be locking it in. And you know what? It's understandable why, like I said, the Americans, they don't really like playing into that style. And also on Bind, Sage is very predictable on where she will be positioned. And that's going to be on the A side. So if you know to just either bait out the wall very early on into the round or avoid the A side entirely, then you can absolutely just get around that agent with positioning alone. We will be seeing It's Always Rush B start on the attack first, so slightly different to that last map. Reyna, Phoenix, Killjoy, Omen, and Sova locked in for those guys, so they're still going to be using the flashes. Off Your Feed going to be going for the same approach. Different agent. It's going to be the breach, so a little bit more safety. You can flash through the wall rather than putting yourself in the danger, but both achieve that same purpose, right? Trying to cancel out the long distances that are available for the other team.
As we look ahead once again, couple of ghosts in the pocket, and the rest going to be classics. No frenzies this time around, but light armor as well for those on the classic here, Mox. And only a few seconds before these gates drop, it looks like it's going to be the lining up of an A push for us always.
You're going to have to be very careful about how you rush onto this point, though, with that defensive breach. Who is currently actually trying to push aggressively down gardens. So Off Your Feed, remember they're on the defense. They can't just give one of these points over for free. It does mean they will be men down. So which rush be push onto this A side. Flip push Showers and Short wanting to be in control of, but Pangelo and Pigmaster both here to shut that down.
A good opportunity here as the teleporter does get activated before the spike can be carried through it. It's just going to be Akubar on this Phoenix trying to get the kills here. Knows where the spike has to be. The question is, will they be able to have the reinforcement here? Off Your Feed going to slowly be funneling their team to rotate, guard that bomb just a little bit more. However, Khan has to be very careful, keeping eyes on it as that Phoenix slowly starting to back out, perhaps rotate to a more advantageous position through that short angle, going away from Showers. The recon bolt comes out. Citron going to be scanning the area they are currently in. A big intel value there. Going to slowly be turning on it to the Phoenix. Shots trying to come through. Have to be very careful of the curveball. Tendytown, however, throwing in a stun of their own. Damage not quite connecting as it needs to, but Khan will be there to clean up as the call is made. The rotation coming through. Bomb never touched again.
Lovely rotation coming out from Off Your Feed now that they know that the numbers disadvantage is there for It's Always Rush B. Sova and Breach able to cut the Phoenix off before he gets access to Short. Now we're going to start to see, right, that weapon advantage moving over to the defensive side. Maybe very early on in this match, Waltham, but this is the danger for the attack. If you're not able to get to cobble together any points, the defenders are going to have these really long angles and all of the weaponry in the world to take advantage of them.
I believe at the last second there we did see a shorty come online, so it have to be the supreme aggression coming through from It's Always Rush B, as now they're looking to line up, get towards that hookah area. At least Akubar is. They're going to be very careful, checking every single angle that they have to. As they start to saddle up here, perhaps a little bit of location being revealed. They back out of hookah just in the nick of time, avoiding that shock arrow. As they're kind of a little bit scattered here for as an aggressive push they're going to have to try to make work, knowing that that defense perhaps a little bit less full of the manpower, considering that they are also guarding A. It's going to be the recon arrows trying to come through Off Your Feed, waiting for anybody to come through that window. Maybe Citron taking a few shots, eventually backing up in an uncomfortable spot here. Eventually a lot of abilities going to be landing onto It's Always Rush B. Those in hookah eventually getting caught out. That Reyna dangerously low has the spike, but it's able to back out in time.
I love that play. The delay tactic coming out from the Sova so that the raised boombot can come through the teleporter and hit the members of It's Always Rush B, nip them in the back. force them towards this A site, and they've used up so much utility trying to take control of Hooker that they just don't have the smokes to get onto the site safely.
And Pigmaster going to pick apart the enemy team. The plant does try to come through as the shots try to rain in. Spike doesn't get planted, and now with that, it's going to be the Phoenix who has to try to maintain, but 10 seconds left to get that spike down, or to try to get all the kills to come through. Seattle can get the spike, but the question is, will they be able to get the plant? They're going to be going for it. 2 seconds left. It'll be Tangela who sees the spike go down, decides not to try to take that early shot for free onto the Omen. Instead, we'll just pull out the classic in kind. Now the defuse can be coming through, getting one more tick towards Tangelo's showstopper.
There were 2 differences between the teams. One of them is that Off Your Feet are able to get that second point. The second one is the utility usage. You saw it very quickly when it's always Rush B tried to get that spike planted in the ground. Seattle, he had a paranoia, but he didn't have any dark covers. Off Your Feet, they kept a hold of that smoke. Khan still had a dark cover to play around with. And it's always Rush B. They took so long trying to take control of that B point. They used so much. Off Your Feet did such a very good job of bullying them out of using that utility. But you really have to have that utility to get yourself safely onto that point when you're attacking on bind. Rifles out, heavy armor. They're gonna try and rush down through Fountain into Gardens. They know it's always Rush B, really do like to push on this B site though. So Off Your Feet are gonna be waiting. Khan hoping that he can cut someone off as they move through Hooker.
We're going to be seeing the aggressive rotation coming in from the defenders, leaving only one at A. Seattle going to be checking below that window using the dark cover. Tennytown just waiting there for the flash to come through. However, the dark cover might mitigate things just a moment. Pigmaster getting caught out by a couple of different blinds, eventually trying to take the shots with the Bulldog. Seattle does get the last few remaining bullets of the magazine. It will be securing the kill from Pigmaster. Tennytown, however, now starting to put down some damage of their own, takes the Reyna out. As we see that Killjoy ability not being able to be utilized. Chomama narrowly dodging the showstopper. Because of that, the attackers will be coming through huge here, getting getting their first point on the board, rather.
Talking of utility, we are getting to see some brilliant usages of it. The hot hands coming out from his always Rush B completely limited all of the space that Off Your Feet could try and rotate to when the attackers actually pushed on to that B site. And it meant you know exactly where they're going to be popping up when it comes to that cover. So always Rush B and Off Your Feet both having some very good rounds. This is what we expected, right? A very close match between these two teams. Off Your Feet came out on top the last time they met each other. It's always Rush B already one map up in the series looking to change that outcome.
As we see now, Pigmaster using that Cypher to get some recon L over point A. Because of that, you have to think the attackers are going to be a little bit wary to push up, knowing that that Cypher can be pretty good at that point A. But now they're going to be leaning towards that B instead, taking it a little bit slower right now. The recon arrows looking like they might come out from Cho. Might be throwing it up high. The question remains, how methodical can they be with this push? Seattle, again, trying to clear out Hookah, but Khan continues to peer over those crates, making sure that they can make the calls early on. They will see the Sova, eventually going to be making the dark cover. Obfuscate that view just a little bit as the paint grenades do go out from the defending team. And now Off Your Feet, going to be committing a little bit here as they just try to hold out and buy a little bit of time. It's the most valuable resource that they can perhaps lean on, as it's going to be the Sova Owl drone going out, doing a little bit of research on their own.
Tandytown's just hanging back.
30 seconds left.
The defense might be playing themselves out of this round though, Waltham. No. They didn't see anything coming of that push onto B. They've still got the Omen there. We'll start to spot out that movement. Spike has not been found though, and Seattle's going to be playing absolute havoc. Uses the From the Shadows to get behind them. Make the defense think, maybe there is going to be an A push after all, but it's been read out the wrong way. The defense is absolutely trying to sprint towards this B site.
But he's now going to be getting the better of Hayray, the drop behind, ensuring that kill goes through, and Pigmaster getting the last one onto Chomama ensures the defenders come away with a 3-1 spread at the end of the fourth.
Ooh, that was such a close one. If Off Your Feet hadn't fought twice, they would have all moved over to that A side, and B would have been, it's always Rush's absolute taking for absolute free. 2 ultimates colored in for the attackers, and they can use these to get pretty aggressively. Yes, they are on a little bit of a broken by, but the Empress, the run it back, you can use one for information, you can use the other to try and brute force your way through with that further speed of shooting and reloading.
A comfortable opportunity here for off your feed, as now the limited economy coming in from their opponents in it is always ensures that it's just going to be a couple handguns going in their favor. Tangelo does get the shot. The grenade pushing Akubar back for a moment, just buying them a bit of hesitation there, making sure that off your feet implies that, they know they have the range here. Going to be the kills coming through. Tangelo landing their third, making a fourth with the Vandal, just absolutely mowing it down the opposition here. It's going to be the Killjoy. Doesn't even have the spike, trying to make their way. Has to be very careful. So close to walking into that side of the Omen. Eventually, it's going to be Khan securing that last one. No 5-piece for the Raze this time.
This is why I love to see Razors play on that A side. We often see defending Razors try and occupy Hooker, right? So you can get that boom buddy out of the way early on. Put a little bit of a threat down, force the attackers to maybe think twice about pushing through window. But when you play on A and you play from the back of lamps, you can really use those paint shells to just make sure that the attackers cannot take a step forward. Or if they do, it takes them so long that the rest of your team can just mow them down from afar.
As we look towards this next attack, we see Vandals all across the field. So once again, the equalization coming through. Off your feed getting very aggressive off the back of that breach. The 2 kills gonna be ensured for the defensive team. They do manage to pull their Omen and breach out just in time. More abilities coming out from the breach. A huge commitment here just to try to stifle the further push from the attackers, as now they have to kind of lick their wounds, wait for the recollection. The Empress is gonna be coming out from Impacty. Does throw in that Leer, doesn't find much with it. It's going to be Chomama. The shock darts as well, just trying to get a little bit of damage, force some rotations out as the Owl Drone now going to be coming in from the defending Sova. Question is, will they be able to get the recon with it that they need? It's a little bit of a stall coming in from the attackers, but that is still fine. They still have a few seconds, and they get their first kill in the form of Pig Hayray taking that headshot. A great opportunity here. The Sova going to be double teamed by Hayray and Chomama. It's going to be on the Tendytown. Try to get that ult, cause a little bit of disruption. The Reyna does get disrupted from the plant. It's going to allow Tendytown to try to rotate, but Chomama holding that angle very well. Angelo in Hookah now has to try to retake with a 1v3 situation. Very precarious, takes down Impacty, but Spike continues to tick down as Hayray holding in this crate. Has to be very cautious. That Sova causing a nice little crossfire, putting that Raze in a very uncomfortable position. Eventually, Hayray taking the team fight with that, and the attacker is going to be coming up clean.
Tangelo had been making sure that it wasn't an A push. Had to rotate all the way from that side over to B through Hooker. Fortunately, arrives just a little bit late at the scene. Had the showstopper, does not want to use it, knows that in that numbers disadvantage, you can just get rushed. You might be able to get one person out with the ultimate, but that second person will catch you out, and that will be the round gone. Bigmaster's going to be picking up that operator, and we saw a very aggressive play coming out from off your feed, as they tried to win that round immediately by pushing down B long. That won't be where the operator is playing, though. That will be where It's Always Rush B is expecting it to be, but also going to be pretty clear for now, as a bait does come through. A little bit of a shoulder peeking on through, so Seattle does know what player is there.
See, Seattle's continuing to try to check those corners, being very cautious. Omen v Omen here. Khan, however, able to get the kill onto Impacty. That Reyna caught out before the Omen, so perhaps a little bit of an early peek there. It's going to be the run it back, eventually giving the Phoenix the round trip ticket. Angelo going to be pulling out the showstopper, but not throwing it in, perhaps just buying themselves and their team a bit of time. Bomb Buddy does go out, eventually gets taken down as they can hear that teleporter going active. They know that the rotation is going to be going towards that A side.
And here it comes. There's always Rush B rushing onto that A side. Despite the namesake, Pigmaster has been able to get onto the high ground. But there's so much smoke in the way, just has to blindly fire the operator at any time, trying to create an opportunity. Using the flashes, has to navigate the Cypher cage first. Is able to get safely out, but not find a kill through it.
Pigmaster finally finding some value with that operator there, raining from on high. Chomama gets the one onto Khan, but then It's the op shot once again, the diffuse. Now coming in nice, cool, calm, and collected from Pig as they allow the rest of their teammates to build up some of those gold points.
That op, it finds value even when it's in a fight, right? Even if it's not finding kills, it still limits the mobility of the other side so much because you just can't cross sight lines. You go straight into that, you're dying, and you can actually see as soon as they actually hear the op shots coming through. So which Rush B do take a big old step backwards. And while yes, off your feet lose the breach, they get a lot of information on what is always Rush B are playing, and that is more than enough to just overwhelm the attacking side, who now will be coming in on a save by. And this is where it just becomes so hard to walk into that op line of fire.
We have to keep eyes out for Pig Master. Going to be looking with that op once more. We do see now the attacking team. It's always going to be leaning in. Going to be going right up on the short. The location is going to be revealed, and because of that, the shots can rain through as well. The paint shells coming in, feeling a lot of oppression as well. That's continuing to hold down the angles, and the smoke tries to take the shot through the boxes, but Tangelo ensuring that that is not necessary. The kill is going to be going through either way, and Offer Feed looking very strong here. They do, in fact, have a spike down, so a great opportunity here to really keep the attackers on their toes.
And it's always Rush B. You've got the Hunter Sphere, you don't want to use it in this round. So now it is just going to be a game of cat and mouse. Seattle manages to pick up one, but Tanger's just waiting to catch Chomama out. 100 HP, 50 shields. Pigmaster's going to start to move through lamps, make sure that the Omen is not able to safely move out of that one, but the teleport has actually come through. Oh no, rather the teleport has not safely come through just yet. 24 HP, a Sheriff, and an absolute dream!
Oh,
Which very quickly turns into a nightmare as Pigmaster's able to pick up the shot with the ARP. The Omen has no choice but to walk right into it.
a rough spot there for the lone Omen on the attacking team. Not much you can do when you're down 80 health points and there's nobody to bail you out. But in this instance, Opportunity now building themselves up a nice little lead here as we see them continue on the defense. We've seen that operator still come into effect, but Pigmaster now going to be leaning in towards that hookah zone, perhaps looking to get a little bit aggressive with it.
It's probably the wrong round to go aggressive with it now that it's always Rush B after the save fight can now afford the rifles. So you do want to try and distance yourself from the fight as much as possible and already pulling out of hook and moving a little bit closer to the back of the point, but able to pick up Seattle just fine, and Hayray does not want any piece of that.
It's curious. Seattle going to be double peeking at that after the first shot rains from Pig. It's going to be the tracking dart on to the Killjoy, knowing that they are still a presence near Hookah, if not directly in it. And now it's going to be Impacty taking down the attackers a little bit split here. Because of that, they're able to be picked apart piece by piece. It's going to be the Ult Orb getting captured by the Phoenix as Khan tries to push through that darkness, waiting on that corner. Can catch the Phoenix off guard. Has their back to them, but able to turn it around. Gets the kill, and now just 2 members remain for the attackers. However, Spike is in hand.
So much utility still left available for Khan, just 1 dot cover invested. Here is going to use the turret to get a read on where that op, or rather where any of these players could be. If someone's in heaven, it would tag them out.
30 seconds left.
It's going to be the teleporter going on a line. It's going to be the read coming through here, but the camera going to be revealing that Sova's location as well. A lot of time going to be bought off here, knowing that Sova just has to relocate, can't take that too aggressively lest they meet the operator from Pigmaster, which is exactly going to be the case there. Pigmaster, again, getting some decent value, just peering through that hookah zone.
It is just so hard to walk into a fortified operator. Especially combined with all of the places that it could be. Either on the A side or the B side, it finds value. And always from the back of point, always so hard to actually safely get them. Because if you want to smoke them, unless you're a Brimstone, you've obviously, you know, got to get into line of sight to actually drop those smokes. And by doing that, you put yourself, well, not just into the operator fire, but into the rest of their teammates too. And it's always Rush B. They have not yet figured out how to do just that.
I have the spike.
So it seems like they're going to be a little bit more patient this time and hope that off your feed and their op is going to out-rotate themselves and then they can move in. The operator, remember, does take a very long time to situate itself, so if you can play that mind game will pick up so much value, and that's when you can probably move in and start to contest that space.
Bomb Buddy gonna be revealing the location of the attacking team. Hey-Ray taking it out with the classic saddle. Almost walking right into that hot hands. However, gonna be avoiding it. Showstopper does get an early kill onto Hey-Ray, so you don't have to worry about that information gathering that the Killjoy can perform. However, it's at the cost of just one member for off your feed. Again, still holding a dominant defensive position. Impacty has to be forced out, and Tendytown takes the shots with the Vandal. Righteous area coming through there. The blind's gonna be going in towards Showers as the Phoenix tries to push a curveball in on their own merit. Both getting blinded, both not taking the fight too aggressively. The defense working out a little bit better for them as they have the clock working in their favor. Eventually, the Sova and Phoenix gonna be backing out, perhaps pushing in towards that B, getting the slow rotation there though.
Pick has fallen, but unfortunately it is a copper lining
Revealing area.
for It's Always Rush B. They've made it seem like they don't want to hit that A
Player
side,
standing.
but Off Your Feed have stayed very stubbornly on this side, and Chumama might be able to get the spike plant just in time to get that currency picked up.
Oh,
Oh, not even that Waltham will be allowed. Entirely denied, and everything that the attacking side tried to do is all for naught, because with that point advantage Off Your Feet, if they want to, they can buy the operator up yet again. Pigmaster sitting on 7,500 credits, and there it is.
yeah, of course the investment going to be coming through rather large there Off Your Feed, keeping it, not random, but keeping it guessing when it comes to where that operator is going to be. Sometimes it'll be at Hookah, sometimes it'll be at A. Right now, it looks like Showers is going to be the very aggressive take here. Interesting to see Pigmaster holding down those long sights towards that teleporter, but the Omen of the attacking team going to be teleporting in towards the spawn. Going to be cycling around towards that B. The communication, of course, going to be there with their team. Dark cover going out as the Omen blinds off Hookah just a little bit. Khan continuing to keep eyes towards that spawn Citron as well. They gotta have that inking feeling in their gut that the Omen is going to be there. The dark cover, Paranoia rather, trying to come out, see what they can find with it. But Big Master taking the rotation with their breach. The kills are gonna be there, and that's gonna be the link, allowing the enemies to be revealed. Unfortunate for the run it back to be revealed. Brightest Khan takes that rotation as well. The Hunter's Fury gonna be coming out, trying to rein in the damage, or at least restrict the attackers just a little bit. But Chomama able to take down a one. Takes a little bit aggressively, reveals themselves into Pigmaster's waiting arms as the shot from the op reigns true. And now it's just two members left. The Killjoy and the Phoenix can get aggressive. You can get the information, but you don't have those numbers in your side. Hey-Ray holding down this angle with the operator. Can't quite give it their Phoenix to cover just yet until that rotation comes through. Recon Bolt going to be revealing Octavar's location, but will the Killjoy be able to help them out? Takes down Citron, so certainly might be the case here, as now the rotation has come in along from the Cypher themselves.
10 seconds left.
Bar now the last man standing for the attackers, but the defenders will put a short end to that quickly burning candle.
You've gotta feel for It's Always Rush B. They really wanted that op out of the way. They used the From the Shadows to teleport into Defender spawn, and then it was the ARP hunt. Seattle was looking for it, you saw. Checking A Heaven, checking B back, trying to figure out where exactly Pigmaster would be playing so that they could get that one threat out of the way. That Hey-Ray with an operator of their own could take center stage. They could turn Off Your Feed strategy against them, but it just does not happen. And you're playing without your Roman, you're playing without a lot of smokes, you're playing without that safety that dark cover provides to move forward. As it is lost swap side before swap. But there is no reason to hold on to these ultimates, and It's Always Rush B. They're just using them to brute force their way through.
Hunter's Fury
Hoping
coming
that they
in.
can close up that distance before the op can find a shot to find its value for that.
So far seems to be working, as now it's going to be the attackers with the man advantage Off Your Feet, suffering a little bit, and Akibar able to take the shot onto Citron and going to be funneling their way onto site B, despite the majority of the force being at A. The plant does go down, as now the defenders look to rotate through the defending spawn. It's going to be the dark cover coming out, giving Seattle themselves quite a bit of time. Pigmaster going to have to be very careful here, walks right into Seattle, takes the two shots into the head of Tendy and Pig, and that will be it. The attackers walk away with a third point in their pocket.
That's what we love to see on Bind Waltham. The mind games coming through. All of the ultimates, all of that firepower expended on point A. Off Your Feet just did not expect that Spike to be moving for a B as a result. Now we will see that side start to swap, and this is where you really do have to think, is that difference in Sentinels going to come in and play a big old part? Killjoy versus Cypher. Cypher just gets a little bit more precise information. You know, you get to use the camera, figure out how many people are coming at you, whereas Killjoy can dunk down the turret and it will give you a warning that there are people there, but it won't tell you how many.
That certainly remains to have the results be seen as once again we go into this pistols round. The aggression coming in from Off Your Feet, not going to be a collective effort as they are once again looking a little bit more spread here. We're seeing Pigmaster throw out that camera, trying to get any information in shower so they can. Omen right around the corner, but they can't quite make contact, as is the Reyna. So it may be a little bit blind going into this, a little bit cocksure. They don't want to be. The shot's going to be coming in. Impacty taken down. Seattle gets one, but eventually turned on. Pigmaster's going to be taking the lead there. As now it's just the Cypher and the Sova. A lot of information gathering that can be done by them, but the question is, will they be able to capitalize upon it? Going to be the regroup coming in from Off Your Feed. The two remaining members have to try to make a solid move here and go pick up Spike Box.
Hero's turret will be guarding Belong alongside the Killjoy themselves. Spike should be able to get picked up by the Cypher. 42 seconds left. You can start to move towards A, but you will be coming into contact in a matter of moments with that Phoenix.
No.
Cuba removed, and that is a big threat out of the way.
Seconds left.
Especially because you were able to keep your Cypher alive at the same time. Plant can come on through. You might not be able to safeguard it through the entirety of this round and pick up the point that way, but you can still get the money for the the plant.
As well, a lot of information gathering that can be done. We see the cages go out as well, trying to obfuscate a lot of the views. The camera just going to be keeping eyes on a plant, but they need to be careful. Citron going to be guarding their companion there for the time being. Chomama looking to push in with that. Sova does take down the camera.
Last player
Very good
standing.
eyes out as Off Your Feet does get a third kill. However, the ability to out for the Sova. The shots exchanged. Attackers end up coming in big there with the Soba and the Cypher.
It's the information. It's a slight little leg up that the Cypher provides. I talked about it when we were going into that round, Waltham, and that's exactly why Cypher can really come in clutch at that moment. Because you put yourself into that situation without actually putting yourself into a dangerous situation. The camera will be the one taken out, not you. And now it's always Rush B, 3 to 10 points. They were able to take the first, but Off Your Feet are looking more and more likely to take this second map. Because with this breach, they really can just rush their way and bully the defense away.
And perhaps the exposure a little too severe for the Phoenix. Has to use the just to get away, trying to back out here. As Off Your Feet now going to be getting very aggressive towards that B site. Eventually, a kill will go on to Akubar, who's not able to defend themselves against the onslaught coming in from Off Your Feet. As the breach peaks a little bit aggressively from Hey, right? Going to be taking the shot there, landing the heads, making it a second kill on to Tangelo. Going to be picking up a primary as well for their efforts. However, they will not be in this fight for too long. Citron going to be going in for the plant. It's a little bit of a chaotic fight right now, Mox, as it's just Citron holding out on that Silva, throwing out the shock dart, not able to keep themselves alive for long enough. The defense will be getting the defuse, eventually giving themselves one more point and a little bit of ult charge as well.
Always Rush B are starting to see. They just give up a little bit of space Off Your Feet because they don't necessarily know what the defense is going to be playing. They'll play themselves out of a lot of that utility. And this composition really does need its utility to work. You're relying on the breach to flash your way on through. You're relying on the Omen to use those covers, the paranoias, to smoke off those angles so that it's always Rush B can't contest when that spike goes down. And the longer the round goes on for, the more utility Off Your Feet will expend. They just won't have access to. And as long as it's always Rush B hold on to their abilities, hold on to their positions, and then move in when they feel comfortable, when they feel like Off Your Feet have played themselves out of that utility, they'll be able to come out on top relatively easily. As you would expect the same outcome as Off Your Feet losing that round and now on the save.
Off your feet and not going to be having as much power in their arsenal coming through here. But the ability still going to be coming out from Tangela, trying to get some sort of damage with that raise going online. Does find it as the Reyna eventually taking it down. Cypher going to be uploading the enemy locations to everybody on the attacking team. Hey Ray, however, still going to be taken down at Tangelo despite that location being revealed. As the spike goes down rather quick, it's going to be the lockdown coming through. Akubar using that curveball, taking down the opposition. Ability comes out, revealing their location as Citron does get the kill, and the Killjoy will be the last one to drop, as now the attackers putting themselves at 11 points. 2 players detained at the end.
That was a risky investment, and there's a reason that Hiri drops that lockdown, and it's because they know they can't afford to lose that round. Off your feed, coming in on a broken buy. That was It's Always Rush B's round to lose, and lose it they did. They go on to a budget push. That's why we're seeing the saves coming for the judge. Thought about for a couple of seconds to force onto the Marshal to try and cripple the economy of the other side. Because they do not want to be coming in when Off Your Feet are on match point on a budget push themselves.
And of course, that bomb buddy going to be going out, revealing the location of Akubar quite a bit there, but the flame wall coming up. The Satchel's trying to come out, put the pressure onto this Phoenix. But they're not able to find too much, as that Phoenix still holding into that hookah area very firmly, not letting themselves be shaken. Anytime going to have a shroud dropped right on them, allowing that cover to engulf them. Big Master able to take the shot as Akubar finally decides to rotate, and Big Master going to be content with themselves walking away from that, as the teleporter going to be activated by the Omen. Seattle looking to get behind here. Chihuahua trying to hold up on the high, but now it looks like Always Rush B going to be suffering for that manpower, and well, they need to make something happen as the bomb is going to be going down. Impact B throwing out the Leer, trying to blind their opposition here. Not quite able to land the shots. Has to reload. Most inopportune time. Hey, Raid and Cho Mama going to be using their gotten spoils here. Try to make the shift happen. Big Master pushing slowly through showers. The Swarm Grenade comes through, stifling that push just a little bit. Not able to buy too much benefit with that. Tangelo takes a body shot, then takes the clean up from the Vandal. It's gonna be the defense trying to get some sort of clean, and the attackers able to get the 2 final shots onto Impact and Cho Mama. Tendy Town on that breach, really coming through, even without abilities.
Beautiful Rolling Thunder as well. Because the defense were trying to play that delay game. You saw it come out from the Nanos. With that Swarm getting set off and showers everything they possibly could to make sure that Off Your Feet just could not try and contest that diffuse coming on through. But Rolling Thunder, you can use it when you're safe behind a wall, and it's still going to hit that point. It's still going to force It's Always Rush Me right into the line of sight Off Your Feet to pick away at them if it doesn't catch them out. Now we are on that match point. Hunter's Fury available for Off Your Feed. The attacking team, they can drop that plant.
No.
They can relocate their Sova away from the action. It will cut across the map just the same as that Rolling Thunder, and It's Always Rush B. That means that they cannot give up this space for free.
And with 2 members remaining, the Phoenix in the wings, way out in the back. Hey Ray coming in from the defender spawn. Has to try to get some early kills here with the Killjoy. Tripwire gets laid down, but Hey Ray revealing their position just to mitigate that threat. That potential information source. Akubar gets taken down, and now it's the Killjoy whose location was slightly revealed a little bit earlier. Big Master holding down that angle. It's going to be the shot coming through, and with that Off Your Feed, going to be making this a 1-1.
It looked so good for It's Always Rush B at the start of that round. They were able to remove Citron. They were able to remove the threat of the Hunter's Fury. And then Akubar goes down at the worst moment with the run it back still intact, Waltham. And that means you can't use that ultimate to either go for a kill without putting yourself in danger, or to get information on where the attackers are going to be playing, something that the attackers had in spades because of that trapwire. Yeah, it doesn't catch you out, but you shoot at it, it still reveals that you're in vents. And all Off Your Feed needed to do was just pull back and wait for you to put yourself right into the jaws of danger. You couldn't save that round. It was match point. Off Your Feed, they looked so good through bind, and I think we've got a real match on our hands. We're going all the way, and in the grand finals, I really wouldn't want it any other way.
It certainly feels fitting there, Moxis. You know, if we look back to last week, Off Your Feed having a lot of adaptability that comes through. I think we're seeing a little bit of that come through here as well. It makes me very excited to get into Ascent here. We are going to be taking a short little break before we do get into it. Don't cry, Mox. We will be right back. So folks at home, stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss the final match. Hello and welcome back. The final map in our finals series here at CEA. We're going to be witnessing It's Always Rush B versus Off Your Feed here on Ascent. Moxie, we've seen, I'd say, varying performances between these two teams on the two maps we just saw. How does Ascent kind of play into either of those?
I mean, it's gotta be the battle of the sightlines, right? It all comes down to mid control, how many members you lose as you move through mid towards these points. Already we're seeing a defensive jet being locked in, Pigmaster sacrificing Cypher to pick that one up, which means a lot of operator play, a lot of those Clyde bursts being used to just smother that mid. As that's always Rush B will be on the attack first round. Killjoy's coming out from both of these guys actually, so trying to utilize the turrets, giving up the Cypher, giving up the camera, giving up the trapwire to favor the lockdown, to favor the nanoswarm that you can just leave on a point, feel happy, safe in the knowledge that that can actually do a massive chunk of damage. And buy yourself all the time you need if a delay does have to come through to get your rotation safely on.
And something we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier, Mox, in our break is about how, we're seeing Off Your Feed kind of rotate their characters. Everybody seems to be playing a little bit of a different look each one of these rounds. There hasn't been a whole lot of consistency here, save that Citron on the Sova. So an interesting curiosity to see how Off Your Feed are going to respond this time around, given their mix-ups this time.
Yeah, trying to lean into that unpredictableness. Remember, a lot of these best of threes really does come down to how well the opponent is able to read out the other team that they're up against, and when you change the players who are on those agents, it becomes a lot harder to read out that playstyle. As It's Always Rush, we are going to start moving on to this B side. Have to start clearing this point though, because Off Your Feet are waiting with a lot of their utility to just absolutely wreck those health bars.
And Seattle able to push through that jet smoke, able to get the shots laid down, and now two members remain for the attackers. The kills will go through. Tendytown getting the 2 with the Ghost. Citron, a nice kill with the Shock Dart. Angelo going to be upgrading their weapon just a little bit, getting the Diffuse to get the Run It Back charged up just a little bit more.
Starting to see as well, It's Always Rush Beat, they don't really know how Off Your Feet are going to position, so they feel a lot safer going with that safety in numbers approach, at least when it comes to pistols. We're going to see a little bit more of a split attack coming through. Because you do want to rely on the Omen if you want to move anywhere through mid. That dark cover has to be on point. This Khan is starting to set up. There it is. Nanoswarm down after Nanoswarm. So hard to safely move through that A site. So much utility set up there. As It's Always Rush B, they've been spooked away from that B side. Off Your Feed reading that beautifully. Now It's Always Rush B. They're expecting the killer on the B side. They're not ready to walk into the gauntlet that is Khan's utility that's all set up on A.
A huge opportunity here. Khan has the ability to get their team set up in a real juicy position here. However, it's going to be a quick backup coming in from this attacking team. Dark Shroud can be going out. Seattle making sure that Killjoy can't quite keep them, catch them on the rotation, but Seattle going to get caught out anyway. That jet, now Pigmaster caught in a very uncomfortable corner. They're going to start to get swarmed by the opposing team. Hayray able to get the kill with the Frenzy. However, Chomama drops on the back end as well. We're now looking at a 3v4 situation as the defenders starting to get aggressive, starting to push up onto this attacking team. It's that Killjoy caught in the corner. Paranoia does come out, allowing the kills to be even trade, but that still puts advantage in Off Your Feed, perhaps even more so as the Reyna has Spike, going to slowly be planting at A, but it's going to be Tendytown and the Phoenix both catching that out, being sure to hear it and rotate towards.
You're about to get pinched as well. That server is starting to move up. And you don't even need the position on high ground to take that one out. It's Always Rush B, they got a little bit greedy. Rather, they got the opposite, because they tried to just give up mid. And when you give up mid, you really do allow the defense to get some very easy and fast rotations. Emphasis on the speed, and if you do that, and you just don't have the time to set yourself up once that spike's gone down, in a position where you're just completely out of sight, where you can win that duel before it even properly starts. It's Always Rush B. But with the Reyna, I would love to see a couple of just early smokes be coming out, some layers drop to make sure that you can just clear Off Your Feet and grab up mid that hallowed ground for yourself. As the defense very early on, they really don't like actually trying to take control of mid. They're more than happy to let off your feet traipse their way through. It's only after the attacking side actually move towards one of these points that they properly go for that ground.
Opportunity going to be getting the early kill onto the Sova. So those shock arrows, the recon, not going to be as big a factor here for the attacking team. You're going to have to really work as well. They do have the spike dropped as they try to perhaps poke and prod, figure out their best push options here. Do the Reyna and the Omen both trying to push mid, getting ready to get in position before the attackers get too aggressive down on that B angle. Impacti able to take down two, give themselves that healing, but caught out with their abilities. Tendytown able to take the shot, tries to pull out the ghost to capitalize, can't quite find it as Seattle does take the one shot. Alarm bot set up from Heyray, minimizing the routing that now the defenders can take. It's going to be the spike that does eventually go down. Dark Shroud, or rather the paranoia, goes out. Going to be limiting the aggression that can come out from these defenders as they slowly start to push up. Off your feet, going to be clearing out the short angle coming in there. We see the alarm bots go on. It's going to be Seattle taking it down. Now it's a nice even 2v2, but the advantage might still be for the team that has the Killjoy nice and nestled into place. It's going to be the final shot, ensuring that the bot not able to deal the damage. The defuse comes through. Tangelo going to be getting it as the last member, standing so close, yet so far.
They had no idea where It's Always Rush B were playing. You could see that from the way that they swept B main before they actually tried to go anywhere near that, despite the curveball coming out to make sure no one was hiding in the corner, ready to cut them off. But off your feet don't actually move when they're doing that. They don't try and catch the defenders out when they start to move onto that space. And we're starting to see Off Your Feet pull forward just a little bit. And this is that real dangerous position once again. It's always Rush B. They attacked first on Bind Waltham. They find themselves losing point after point after point because they did not have the firepower to properly post against Off Your Feet, who were using that defensive positions. A distance that is immediately given over to the defensive side to really pick away at this composition. And always Rush B, if they don't do something, if they don't get a point on their side, that history is going to repeat itself again.
Right now, Off Your Feet, just being very cautious here. They're not committing too hard to the direct sights. We're having a lot floating in towards that mid area. Again, the dominance that can come through by having that possession. Tangelo taking it down, using the run it back. The curveball coming out doesn't quite catch anybody, but Akbar unfortunately going to be blinded in similar fashion. Heyray and Akbar both trying to hold that door, making sure anybody who comes through going to be tagged from both sides, impacting, keeping it down despite the healing that may have been in effect. Pigmaster able to sweep out just a few ticks of health left. As now we see the attacking team slowly pushing on towards A. They have that site presence. In fact, it will be the spike going down. Hear that if you're on the defending side. Heyray shooting Pigmaster in the back, as now it's just the lone Phoenix on point, and it's going to be up to Off Your Feet to suss that out, get the kill, and then the defuse in preferably that order.
Akibar's able to get one in hell. Diffuser's going to be baited in a couple of seconds, and now they know exactly what Akibar is. Able to manage to pick his way through the Nana Swarm. Bothand's coming out. Using it to go for a little bit of a heal up as they try and contest Angelo, who does still have a curveball, but does not opt to use it. That will be Akibar able to post the first point on the board for It's Always Rush B, and they can start the long road to recovery in terms of economy.
Yeah, huge play by Akibar. They're able to just play both for time and just get the direct kills that you need, applying quite a bit of a worry on to the defending team. But now Off Your Feet, just going to be shaking that off, allowing themselves to restabilize here. We're going to be seeing a lot of sheriffs on their side of the field, but not a whole lot else.
Oh, well, you tend to see the sheriffs come out at around about 3,000 credits for that jet. The round after, you also tend to see the operator, especially if we're on Ascent. Big Master trying to use the knives to make up for that lack of firepower, as we see jets often do, but It's Always Rush B. We're expecting it and more than ready to meet that threat halfway.
Now, Off Your Feet is going to be suffering in the manpower. The shots not quite landing onto Tangelo as they needed to. Tendytown, however, getting a double of their own, going to be able to pick up one of those nice Vandals. to be very cautious here. However, things still not necessarily going supremely in their favor. Impact in a dangerous position in terms of their health. Have no leers as well, so they're going to be taking a little bit more of a direct fight. Do pick up the spike, but immediately drop it as Tendytown puts them in the ground. The third kill for the Omen player. As now that spike going to be picked up by the Sova. The question is, will Tendytown be able to use the support from Citron and really have a hold on it as the rotation does go towards that B site?
You might be able to get that spike planted if you're fast, but you can
30
see
seconds
Tendytown
left.
and the server already keeping an eye in market. Jemima does have that drone. Does not want to use it in a position where you're going to be extremely vulnerable. Knows that there's going to potentially be
Oh.
players in market, is able to pick out Tendytown. That provides all the time to get the plant going on through. And remember, you have to have 4 seconds in, and he does not want to risk getting into a fight that takes too long. Because now it will be Citron. So much utility available for the Sova.
Revealing area.
First, it's going to be the Recon Bolt figuring out where Tangelo could be hiding.
The
However,
owl drone.
Chomama, as Chomama's backing out. Recon Bolt won't pick them up. Drone either. Start to move in and challenge this over. You do have Hunter's Fury if the worst comes to the
no.
worst.
But Chomama not going to be landing those shots, instead giving away their position. Citron has to go for the defuse, able to get that first tick as the Hunter's Fury comes out. Location's going to be revealed. Chomama able to take them down, commits the Hunter's Fury, but at the end ends up securing that round for their team.
It was what you needed. It's always rush B. It's taken them a little bit of time to get points on that board. If they'd lost that round, they would have been in that horrible position where you were on the back of a broken buy when Pigmaster's coming in with, yep, predicted it. There it is, operator. Once again, armor sacrifice so you can pick that one up. But now you really can use that to grab a very quick stranglehold of mid, and you can get ready and waiting to hit that first shot. It's always rush B. They've got to know the threats there. They've got to drop the smoke, and already we're seeing
Oh,
Pigmaster smoked off, but still hits the ammo!
a huge opening there from Pigmaster, showing why their team relies on them to get that op. And as Jet now, it all seems to sort of come together. Citron going to be throwing in the recon, allowing their team a little bit more information. Going to be getting that dart landed into the Phoenix. Who are going to have their location revealed as well. The majority of their team are going to be having the inkling of where they're going to be coming from. The shot's trying to come through from Pigmaster, can't quite land them like they would want. The shot trying to land onto the Sova, but not going to connect. Second one as well, not going to be found for Pigmaster. Chomama able to back out, picks up the spike, and does eventually go for the plant, especially as the defender Killjoy now going to be throwing in their lockdown. It's going to have to be onto the attackers to try to push up into that. There's not much they can do if they all get their weapons taken from them. Chomama takes down a Khan. Eventually that lockdown is going to be going into effect, but there is still Akubar. There was Akubar, as I was saying, I get taken down by a headshot from the Vandal. The defuse coming through from Tendytown. It's going to be perhaps going on to Tangelo, allowing them to get the run it back.
Yeah, it's always rush B. They knew as soon as they saw that lockdown start to wind up. They either had to meet off your feet aggressively when they still had control of their weapons and win the fight before it comes off, or you were going to be absolutely crippled, lose all of your abilities, lose your even ability to shoot, and be overwhelmed as off your feet position themselves perfectly around that ultimate. Either always rush B would be moving forward aggressively. That means that Pigmaster does not have to relocate, put themselves into danger with a 5,000 credit costing gun. Instead, stand on the sidelines from afar and just fire at the members of Always Rush B who just forcefully run straight into that danger of their own volition. And now we're going to see the save coming in. Spectre equipped in the hands of Akibar as they have to travel in numbers to make up for that difference in firepower.
Same attacking. A Killjoy drop the lockdown off your feet. Gonna have to try to cope with that a little bit, as it's just a push with the limited range of firepower that the attackers have. They do initiate the lockdown, but nobody is detained. A lot of time bought by those few who did die. Pigmaster able to get the headshot onto Chomama. Their second, make it a third with Seattle taken down. Pigmaster gonna be carving 3 notches into their gun this day.
That's why Jets and Ops are just so feared. And for It's Always Rush B, they don't have anything that can really match the mobility of it. Instead, they've got to rely on the smokes or the flashes to try and keep Pigmaster in check. And when you expend so much utility very early on and trying to actually, brute force your way through because you have that weaponry deficit. Just don't have anything to try and keep the jet within reach, and now we will see attacking operator coming up from Heyray, who is going to be trying to meet the jet, but you don't have the escape tools that are available, so you have to be so very careful about how you position yourself. You can't get yourself to these aggressive angles that are available for Pigmaster time after time after time. Very little punishment to be had.
And unfortunately, Heyray going to be taking an angle that the defense doesn't look too invested in. As now we see the defense relocating towards that A. Seattle getting caught out on rotation by Khan. An early kill for Off Your Feed puts them in a very good spot to parlay this defense. A little bit of momentum here. We do see the attackers holding back Spike all the way towards spawn. They're really considering what they want to do, what route they want to take that Spike towards. Pigmaster, again, continuing to hold steady here. Takes the shot onto the Reyna. Impacty not quite ready for that engagement. Now, however, the attackers will know where that op is located. The readjustment not going to be coming through too aggressively from the Jet. And using a lot of their abilities to try to minimize the push that can come through from the attackers and really force them to fight against that clock. As now, Omen going to be using that Shroud to really force out and make the attacking team a little bit more uncomfortable. The plant does eventually go through from the Killjoy, but it will all be for naught as the defuse comes in almost as quick.
How do you punish this op? First of all, how do you get on top of it? Because Pigmaster just has the mobility. And secondly, you're seeing the buddy system, and it's being played perfectly. If you try and aggressively push this jet, the Phoenix is there behind them with the flashes to make sure you have the time to be able to get yourself and that gun safely out of dodge. And we actually saw It's Always Rush B how they tried to use the operator. Heyray did a good job trying to take control of mid, but it was a job that they did alone. There wasn't really any backup if they got pushed, and because of it, they lost that weaponry, and that was a big investment, the ripples of which we are going to be feeling for a very long time into the coming rounds.
Certainly seems to be the case, as now It's Always Rush B once again hurting in their wallets. The flashbangs coming out. Pigmaster not able to land the shot because of that, but Khan's got your back. They get the double kill. Pigmaster taken a third for their team, and things equalized a little bit here for the attackers. Seattle gonna be one of the last few remaining members along with their Sova and Chomaba. As we look ahead, the Vandals do get picked up, so now it's going to be a little bit of an arsenal reacquisition there for the attackers, as the defenders trying to readjust, reposition themselves, not be so vulnerable. D'Angelo trying to hold this angle, continuing to jiggle peek those as necessary, making sure that they keep tabs on their opponents. However, as that recon arrow goes out, Chomama and the Omen both in an uncomfortable position here. The teleport does come through. Just a little bit of scouting, perhaps relocation coming in from Seattle. Omen's almost back to back right now, not knowing of the presence of one another. Tendy Town, however, in that lower basement area. Going to be just keeping a slight tabs on A. Seattle slowly creeping their way around.
They're actually on top of each other right now.
30 seconds left.
Seattle heard the sound cue, knows that the Omen is there, knows that Citron's there as well, is able to just see that Sova peeking out. Will you check the corner?
One enemy remains.
Does see, but Tangelo is able to hit the shots faster. In the meantime, Chomama has actually been able to get onto the side and planted the spike, but it is still an operator. And now it all comes down to how well you can hit your mechanical shots.
Certainly is a way of putting it here, Mox. We do still see the curveball available. As now the shot going to be landing true onto Tendy Town. Chomama able to connect with the operator. Angelo going to be throwing up that flame wall. Curveball goes out, blinds themselves just a little bit, taking those angles. Has to try to peek through the smoke, but can't quite land it. The shot rings true. Chomama getting the kill onto Tangelo as they extract to avoid the bomb explosion.
Was even able to hold on to Hunter's Fury as well. That's the big one. Not only are you able to keep the op, but you're able to take the Hunter's Fury with you into this next round, and now you really are going to force that defense to be very careful about where they position themselves, because Pigmaster can try and play the buddy system all they want, but if that Hunter's Fury comes through, no flash is going to be able to save that jet if you don't have your dashes up and available. We'll see both teams coming in with operators. It will be a fight for mid, and Heyray peaks again. The first to fall, Pigmaster. Mid is firmly the defense's ground.
We do see the adjustment coming in from that Jet, allowing themselves to get repositioned, perhaps take a different angle. The Omen has to be very careful here. They don't want to get their head taken off. Jet going to be pushing up just a little bit. Akibar looking to regroup, and Seattle having a spike carrying it towards A, or at least lining up towards A. Has to be a little bit cautious here as they might walk into the crossfire of that Killjoy of the Phoenix. Angelo just holding a firm here, having that discipline to not get too antsy, at least not quite yet. It's going to be the run it back coming on a line here for the attacking team. However, it's Seattle who takes the first kill, the second going on to Khan from Akubar, and now things are looking very good for this attacking team. It's going to have to be the plant going down. Now the defenders have to try and go for a retake here. Tendy Town seeing out their opposing Omen, but not quite able to land the shots.
Missing the operator thread as well. Off your feed, gonna have to be very careful about how they do this. Both their players meeting up in rafters. Chichen's gonna use a little bit of information with that recon bolt to try and figure out where it's always Rushby are hiding their players. Spraying through Hal, figuring out if they can pick someone up, but Impacti's picked up. The operator is there to avenge Hey-Ray. With the lurk in, there is absolutely nothing Off Your Feed can do about that one. They've just got to walk right into that crosshair. And right out of it as we head into the next round.
A great kind of inversion of expectations there, Mox. Usually you see the operator onto that high ground, shooting down. This time we saw the Reyna with the operator shooting upwards onto the high ground. So really like seeing that execution. But now Off Your Feet can try to regain their mental here. No operator on the field for them this time. And all of a sudden, the shoe's on the other foot, and they have to learn how to cope with Impacti's operator.
Well, this is what happens when you continuously buy that operator. If it does not work out for you in the long run, you are so far behind in economy. Antisphere up and available for the attacking side as well, so that lockdown, which is there for the defense, Off Your Feet cannot rely solely on it. They know it can be absolutely shredded in seconds.
Bar getting hit by the light end of a shock dart. However, we'll be able to get that ult orb eventually. It's going to be the Owl Drone going in, doing a little bit of scouting as Pigmaster, trying to hold on to point with Citron. Now, we're seeing them just continue to focus on B, as are the attackers. The attackers not looking to get too aggressive towards A in this instance. We still do see the Killjoy and the Phoenix for the defense holding out, and they will be taken down. Hey Ray, a good opportunity here for Aquafeed to continue with some momentum. Although they are looking a little bit discombobulated, they don't quite have a read yet on what their attackers are doing.
It's the killer, and that is a lot of immediate burst damage done, but unfortunately it's not the Sova. So Off Your Feet is still going to be very reluctant to invest that lockdown in, as
30
it's
seconds
always
left.
Rushby very slowly making their way through mid. Don't have to invest the smokes now that they know there isn't an operator on the other side. It's going to be Off Your Feet who are trying to block off a little bit of that side on A. Seattle does fall prey.
Seattle certainly does. That raise, or that Killjoy rather, taken down from Aquafeed means no lockdown can go into effect for the defenders. Yeah, this fight is going to be looking a little bit more even, as Aquafeed does have that slight advantage in terms of man power. It's going to be Pigmaster bringing up the smokes, making sure that Reyna can't quite get the benefit, but the same can't be said for Akubar. We get their third, the headshot coming on a line. It's going to be the Hunter's Fury coming out from Citron. Now has to be very careful here. Walks right into Impact. He shoots them through the wall. Attacker is going to be taking it here. Looking to even up the scoreline as close as possible, Mud.
Last round
It's
in
the heavy cost, but it's one that it's always Rushby up. Not too unhappy about paying. Hunter's Fury really is one of those horrible ultimates to walk into, but Akiba did such a good job at dismantling the numbers that were available for Off Your Feet. It meant that they just couldn't throw corpses at the ARP, at the Hunter's Fury to get that diffuse going, despite all of the chaos that's going on around them. This Impacti will be holding on to the operator, and Off Your Feet have just given up that strategy right now. They don't have the currency to be able to pick that one up, as Impact is right away going to fire a warning shot, telling Off Your Feed, the main is ours, stay away.
Well, we'll see if Off Your Feet are going to be taking any heed to that. They do back off for just a little bit. Phoenix going to be taking advantage of that, pushing ahead. Akubar able to get that ult orb, and because of that, run it back now on the field as an option. This is 12th round, so might as well go for it. You're going to be leaning into that. However, A Dangerous proposition here for the Killjoy. It's going to be Tangelo taking it down. Hey, Ray there. As now, it's 1 up for the side of the defense, who now have to try to cope with the attackers here, who look to just consider and contemplate their options.
Well, B's definitely looking like the safest site right now with all of the lurking that Off Your Feet are currently pulling off on that A side. Phoenix sequestered up in wine is getting smoked out at the moment. It is a big old fake. And Off Your Feet have fallen for it, Waltham. Run it back invested. They don't know where this push is going to come from. They don't know that Off Your Feet are all the way on the other side of the map. They will in a couple of seconds realize their mistake. Run it back runs out with no information gathered. Apart from that, a rotation has to be happening.
And a smart posting coming in from the Reyna, going to be just keeping eyes on that defender's spawn, making sure that the one-shot potential is definitely there as a constant threat, especially with that Sova Owl drone going out. A little bit of a reveal here. Tendy Town eventually going to be breaching the wall. Going to be looking to see a 3-angle sweep coming in. It's going to be Tangelo taking down Akubar, so that Phoenix aggression not going to be as relevant here for the defenders. Impacty trying to land the shots, can't quite connect, however, the bomb going to be ticking down faster and faster. It's all a matter of time. The defuse has to try to come through. It cannot. The bomb's going to go off, and with that, it's going to be a 6-6 at the half.
Oof, even round. But you know what they say about Valorant. If you're on the attacking side, you are happy if you manage to breach that 4-point mark. So it's always Rushby can be extremely happy knowing that this composition, which is very good at shutting down rush pushes, but with that Reyna in tow, still allows a lot of immediate aggression with very little punish potential. Off Your Feet with this Jet, they've got to be able to use this composition to get that first early frag to immediately be able to bully It's Always Rushby out of these key places on the map. You can see It's Always Rushby, they're already setting up the Phoenix, making sure he can be there to cut anyone who tries to move through mid onto that A side off with those flashes.
Let's see exactly the level of aggression that's going to be coming out from Off Your Feed, if they can adapt to what they kind of had to cope with on their defense. As now we look ahead, the lineup for that mid, they're going to be going up for it, learning from their opponent's mistakes in the first few rounds. Going to be making sure that mid is well held under their control. They do send their Omen back, waiting just in the wings, waiting perhaps to let the defenders get a little bit complacent. Ray, rather, going to be the first one taken down. Impacty creeping around in those smokes. They do clear. The shots coming through, not able to land though. Might have revealed themselves a little bit too early there, as now Off Your Feet going to be setting up some of that Killjoy utility there. Now, Off Your Feet continue to push in towards A. It's going to be getting very aggressive with that Jet, eventually taken down for their efforts. Akubar landing the headshot with the Frenzy. As now Off Your Feet in a little bit of an uncomfortable position here. Do take down Seattle though, so that's a good position. The bomb does start to get planted, and now it's going to have to be on the Sova, on the Reyna for the retake.
Numbers advantage currently going over to Off Your Feed. Spike down, and it is indeed going to be a very tough job. Especially because Impacty is currently not really safe. Jemima going to be in that same amount of danger as you reveal yourself. The second you use any of this utility, then they're going to know exactly where that Sova is on that high ground. Con dropping the turret will have a little bit of a read if the Reyna does try to wrap around the back of them, but Reyna already taken out. And Waltham, the defense, they played it so well. The fact that they didn't fall for the bait, that they locked down the doors, so if it was all a big old ruse, Off Your Feed would have to either walk into the Phoenix's side, or they'd have to shoot the doors and announce their presence that they were pushing that A instead of B. But unfortunately, Off Your Feed with the numbers advantage, they're just able to wash over the members remaining on that A side, and then very quickly take out the 2 remaining members and any threat that the defense poses.
Needless to say, a good start for Off Your Feed, as now they look to line it up, perhaps run it back in a very similar fashion. Seattle going to be going through the smoke with that shorty. We know how much punch there can be there. Two of them lined up with the shorty, the alarm bot. Going to be revealing their location though. However, Con does take down Impacty, so going to have to be very careful on this rotation. But Pigmaster does get the better of Seattle. Seattle getting overwhelmed just by the numbers there in that instance. Only one member going to be standing for the side of It's Always, and that is going to be Chomama. Is going to be coming up from that high ground on the defense. Maybe Citron catching them out there, trying to rain shots down from below. Eventually they decide that perhaps the recon arrow will be sufficient enough. It's not going to be the flawless coming in from this team as Khan now trying to hold the low ground. Tendytown pressuring the high as Chomama eventually falls.
We're starting to see the mind games come into play. We're starting to see mid come into play as well. Tangelo actually lurks there to try and cut off any rotating members of It's Always Rush Bean, is able to pick up one. And that means that the defenders, they don't have that split angle focus. They can't push on two separate sides that off your feet are forced to turn around and in that way turn their backs to one of those sides. That lurk is huge in the long run. And it means that It's Always Rush Bean really do have to be very careful when that spike goes down. Now they really do have to make sure that off your feet don't try to post one member in mid once again.
We do see the attackers going up towards that B, and it looks like the defense not there in full force. However, Khan going to be taken down early on. It means that the attackers not going to be having the full routing, the full setup for that killjoy that they would surely want to be having once that spike goes down. Citron eventually throwing down the spike, ensuring they can hold. And Big Master with a nasty headshot from the Sheriff right onto Impacty. You hate to see it unless you're Pigmaster, in which I imagine you're pretty thrilled, as now the retake coming in from the defense, trying to come in. The Killjoy, the Phoenix, the Omen, all have their parts to play in this, as Tendytown lurking within their shrouds. Ready to get aggressive here. Seattle takes down Citron in exchange for Akubar. Angelo able to get the shot. Seattle as well taking a little bit of damage. Tendytown, the last one remaining, does get the clean. A lot of guns thrown to the wind, Mox, but eventually it comes up for off your feet.
Again, it's that positioning after the spike goes down. Off your feet have such a good read of it on this map, both on the A side and the B side. They post members at the back of the point, but they also make sure that Tendytown is there, out of danger, out of the firing line. Come in and pick up the pieces if off your feet aren't able to win that fight by the spike. And It's Always Rush B. They know. On the defensive side, you really do want the expensive weaponry, things like the Ares, the Odin, the Operator. And that means you're gonna have to go on the budget buys.
Budget is exactly what we are seeing here with the judge in effect for Seattle. It didn't quite buy them the benefit when they were using the shorty. We'll see if perhaps a higher rate of fire, a little bit of a bigger magazine will help them out here. Khan going to be throwing out the swarm grenade for the time being. Be locking it down, just making sure nobody's in that alleyway corner. Citron throwing out the owl drone, giving a little bit of recon as Tendytown goes on a little bit of a tear there, takes down two, Impacty out of the fight now, and Khan will eventually fall to that judge. We do now see exactly how these teams are going to be playing here. The attackers running it continually up that mid, making sure, being a little bit slow and methodical here, making sure that the defenders can't quite get nestled in as much as you might like. That Phoenix gonna be waiting for that Killjoy to turn the corner. Hey Ray eventually does, and Tangelo gets the better of them. Chomama creeping in the way behind, ready to use that Bucky to hopefully some supreme effect as they do get nestled in. The attackers don't quite see them. It's gonna be a headshot coming in from Chomama. The damage gonna be put onto Citron, but not the kill. It's now dangerous health pools for both of these teams. As we look ahead, Citron has the Hunter's Fury online, though.
Seattle also has the From the Shadows, and he's going to use it to get a little bit of information on where the Sova is playing. Sees the spike, does not see the Sova. 5 HP. They've passed each other, Waltham. Citron does not know that the Omen is now on that site. Will hit the defuse queue any second now, and now knows where Seattle is, but it is a game of find the other person as Hunter Fury comes out. Seattle trying to get the wall bang through, but he's pinned into a corner.
Oh!
Almost ran straight into it!
Yeah, the defuse gonna be coming through, and it's not quite it. The timer gonna be close, but Seattle not close enough as the bomb explodes. Everybody's losing their weapons in that one. Mox a point for the attackers.
Rocks full, everyone dies, Waltham.
Wow.
Off your feed may not have been able to win the gun duel, but you were able to do enough with that Hunter's Fury to make sure that It's Always Rush B, the delay Seattle not able to get that defuse coming on in time, but Hey has now had enough credits, 5,000 to be exact, to afford the operator. And this is where the defense really starts to shine. You have to be able to use this mid control, this operator, to find value as this round starts when you're 4 points behind.
As we see now, attackers push
You
up
should
towards
run.
that B. They're going right down main. They have that Omen keeping eyes out towards their rears, making sure that they don't get constricted, wrapped around. But so far, looks like they're not keeping sharp enough tabs. It's gonna be the Phoenix and the Omen wrapping around the eventual lockdown, trying to come through for the attackers. Not gonna be finding it too much. It's the run it back now coming in from the Phoenix, giving away a little bit of that position. Eventually, does get taken down, but the Reyna continuing to keep up. The Omen, rather, going to be up, trying to apply that pressure. Hey Ray, dangerously low. One shot will do it for that player. You don't want to lose that operator. Those sidelines
Player standing.
very dominant. It's going to have to just be the Jet trying to buy out as much time as possible. Not going to work this time around as the defenders able to get the defuse.
Yeah, a little bit low in the health department, but it's still the same level of threat, and you can see how reluctant Off Your Feet really were to try and contest any part of that site that wasn't right next to this fight, because they knew they would be walking into the op shot. And it's always Rushby use that information, know that one of those angles is not going to be where the attackers are, and they push instead on the other. Apply enough pressure, and that composition just completely crumbles. Still firmly in the hands of Hey Ray. You can now upgrade the armor if they feel like it. As Off Your Feet are now the ones in that very uncomfortable position where not all of the team can really afford the proper weaponry. So Pigmass are going to be putting out the knives as soon as they can, already up onto the high ground. Updraft still charged up. If you use those double jumps, you will get an eyeful of that Reyna on Raptors, but so too will the Reyna see the Jet.
And Tendy Town going to be getting an eye full of whatever caliber ammo the Vandal fires. As now Impact going to be continuing to hold up on high. Does exchange sight lines there with the Killjoy. Not quite able to get the kill right out of the gates. However, things looking a little bit grim for Off Your Feet as they need to start regaining some of that composure here. They're going to be pushing in towards that mid, but it's going to be the operator that does come through. Going to be the Omen abilities as well seen from that right side. Pushing up in the Swarm Grenade going to be activated, cutting off those movement pathings that can be had from the defense. It's just the Killjoy left, a tough spot to be in if you're just the one lone German engineer. You do see them trying to push up here. They have to be very careful. They're going to get double peeped, and they actually take the kills here, Mox. It's going to be the operator out of the fight for the time being. The plant can still go in on this B site, and Killjoy's not the worst character to have for it.
Yeah, Killjoy hasn't actually picked up the op, opted for the Vandal. A little bit more decent, a little bit more reliable when it comes to that recontest fight, as Impacty going to be running with the exact same weapon. Will get spotted out as soon as you drop out of this. I do believe actually turned away before seeing the Killjoy popping up. As now Khan's just trying to use that spike to bait out. Here's the diffuse, has to start contesting, but the rotation has come through, and Impacty has the shot clear through markup.
Yeah,
that will be. It's so close. Anything really can decide the winner of the CEA season, Waltham. Both of these teams have been doing such a good job, and it really does come down to these mind games. The out rotations of themselves, using the utility too early, going into mid without using those smokes, thinking that you're not walking into an op shot or that you have the time to walk into the op shot, as we saw that was the reason Pigmaster fell with the knives. Seattle biting the bullet, using that Omen utility to just burn the timer off so that your Killjoy has the time to relocate, reload the op shot, and get out of dodge without losing it.
If you're looking for positives on the side of Off Your Feet, no ops to contest with this time. In fact, Shomama going to be dropping early on. Killjoy utility dealt with, as Khan now still has theirs slightly in pocket. The doors do go down. Hey Ray going to be tearing it down rather quickly along with their Omen. Citron knows that the entryway is going to be breached at some point. So they're going to be looking to get the shots. The Killjoy peeks it, but doesn't clear it out. It's going to be the 1-for-1 going through there. Now, as Khan once again has to try to be the sole defender, Alarmbot does get triggered, giving them a little bit of information here. In fact, revealing their location. The Phoenix pushing up with the Reyna. Simultaneously, the kills do go on to Khan. Going to be another defuse, and off your feed, not seeming to find anything for these B plants.
Well, keeping a hold of the lockdown, we'll be taking it into the next rounds, and that's something. If you don't take up the point, you were able as well to take out 3 members from that defense, so economy very much in problems. At least after this round, if always rush B, go for this buy, put themselves into that position where if they do lose this, they'll be on that budget. And off your feed would then be on that match point. However, because you waited to use that lockdown, that Hunter's Fury has now become available for Cho Mama, and now this is the condition. You cannot use it while the Sova still breathes.
See if those considerations are being taken here as off your feed. Pushing in through mid, trying to rain a few shots in through the Shroud as well. The Hot Hands trying to pressure out Seattle a little bit. Not going to be finding it, however, as the defense backs off, regroups towards that A site. However, that is matched by the attackers who are leaning up a little bit towards that spike, however. Going to be resting towards B main and mid. As Impact continuing to hold up onto this high ground, being very diligent here.
Omen playing the Canary at the moment on A main. Does get a little bit of fire, does know that off your feet are currently pushing that angle. Falls, but you still get a lot of information for your Reyna to work with. Pickmaster knows there will be a presence in Rafters. Attacking Killjoy going to be dropping the lockdown as Impact he drops. Off your feed. They've used so much, but Waltham it is going to be so worth it. As it's always rush B, they're keeping a hold of the Hunter's Fury. They want to use that to push off your feet into a hostage situation. They cannot fully abandon this spike, otherwise the ultimate will be keeping the entire team at bay, allowing your Phoenix Akibar to get in safely and start that defuse.
We do see Akibar up on that high ground immediately, going to be shrouded out. Tries to throw in the curve bomb, but not really much to push with it. Perhaps just revealing themselves for a moment. It is going to be Tangelo taken down, however, by Cho Mama as Tendytown holding that lower area. We are starting to hear that tick speed up faster and faster. Mox is going to put more and more of that pressure on the defenders who look like they're right now just taking a knee, regrouping themselves.
Yeah, going for the save. Off your feet will be able to notch up their 11th point, and it's always rush B. They're not thinking about the fight that they're currently playing. They're thinking about the coming rounds. They know if they let off your feet, hit that 12th point, and this defense is on a budget buy on that eco push, they have absolutely nothing barring these ultimates to just stop off your feet from just stomping over them with the currency in their favor. And you can see they're being very considerate of how they come about doing this. A couple of judges, in fact, you're going to be buying the operator shot. No surprises here. I, for one, would maybe have seen a Marshall coming out so you can still have the currency for the next round if you do lose it here. But Impact is going to be playing so far away from Rafters, you still get a very good impact on this fight, as if you try to move from A main onto that side. Like, it's very easy to get smoked out and have any say completely nullified.
Impact, you're going to be holding just that very slight angle through the shroud, not able to cut off all of their line of sight. As now off your feet, going to be taking a little bit of a back step here. Might be taking a little bit of a retreat, but no, in fact, it's going to be the plant at A. The Killjoy is trying to wrap around, circulate upon the defending team, who now has to try to go for this retake. It's going to be the flame wall coming up off your feed. Citron going to be getting the 2 kill. Heyray and Akibar both taken down. However, it's equalized by Seattle, getting 2 with the judge. Operator still holding on to that long angle, making sure that the 2 remaining attackers can't really peek their heads out to contest should the defuse start to come through. Chomama taking down Khan. In fact, he's still trying to hold down a dangerous proposition to line yourselves up if you're off your feed. The shot's now going to be coming through the fuse, trying to land. It's going to be the Phoenix who has to try to contest, but Impact, he does get the defuse. defenders are going to be coming up there, making it a 10-11 now.
Oh, beautiful play coming out from Impact with that operator. Going to rafters, not putting themselves into danger, and then knowing that Off Your Feet have actually played themselves out of the point. As soon as they clear out of it, as soon as they let the operator come down and contest, it doesn't matter if they're away from the zone. It doesn't matter if they can try and bait out the defuse coming out from the defense. That op is going to be there to safeguard that player. That's exactly what we see coming out as Impact yet again. As that operator yet again has that same threat, and Off Your Feet now know if they do get that spike down, they have to keep a presence constantly there. They cannot just allow that Reyna to come through and laugh. As all they can do is watch as that diffuse timer goes down.
Off Your Feet now in a very precarious situation, being very cautious here, trying to limit these sightlines they allow themselves to be exposed to. We see them lining up towards B main. However, it's going to be the Owl drone that can recon them out. They get too aggressive with it. Eventually, that Owl drone will expire. Tendytown most likely hearing of that, having that recognition that the recon's not going to quite be there for this Sova. Again, a lot of ults now on the line for the defensive team as Pingmaster slowly going to be leading the charge here. Has to be careful as that Killjoy ability still up. Those turrets going to be giving a little bit of information here, and a lot of Hunter's Fury is going to be active at the same time. However, Chomama able to take one down. As we look ahead, Chomama getting their third. Now Off Your Feet in a very rough spot, trying to heal themselves with the firewall. Is that Phoenix? Angelo trying their best, but finding no success. Citron not quite able to get the shots, and now we're all tied up at 11 points. This is a nail biter, Mox.
Oof, especially because Off Your Feet, they use that Hunter's Fury to try and brute force their way onto the B site. They will not have it to counter Hey-Ray and the lockdown. This Killjoy has been waiting for, and a defensive lockdown can be absolutely brutal when it comes to that recontest, because even if it doesn't catch the members out, it still forces them off that zone, and we've seen what happens when Off Your Feet get forced off of these sites. In fact, he gets to set that up, and the defuse gets to come through cleanly. Pigmaster, knowing that they're on the back of a broken buy, has to pop the knives to keep that same level of threat, to try and take mid, deny it from the defense, but Seattle's able to take them down.
Big shot coming through from the Vandal. And now this push on to A might be a little risky here, knowing that Impacty has that op, but I say that a moment too soon as they're taken out with a nice headshot from the Vandal coming in from Citron. Now Spike going to be planted right onto site. Again, that Killjoy in effect, able to place down that utility, perhaps slow down the push from these defenders as well. The Killjoy going to be initiating the lockdown, so no weapons in effect for the attackers if they don't evacuate fast enough. It's going to be the Sova taken down. Citron not going to be able to find anything. One player does get detained by for the attackers. Going to be Tendytown trying to go in, get the kill. Does get the final shot onto the diffuser, but it will not be enough. Eventually, the defenders are going to be able to get the diffuse, picking it up from that second point.
Same point, same problem, different agent. Lockdown. The second it came out Off Your Feed, they had to either try and stay on the point and take it out aggressively, or they had to evacuate. The Sova stuck around. The Sova wanted to try and take it out, but the Blaze Wall came through. The Curveball came through. He was just backed into a corner. And all the rest of the members of Off Your Feed, they had to do the exact same thing when they were facing that op-down. Pull back into a main, pull back towards Wine. And now it will be the op shot off, but do you know what? What's more dangerous, Waltham, than one op? I'll tell you, it's two. And always rush B. They're playing dirty. They've got the two ops out.
And is looking good for them so far, especially as Hey Ray gets a 2-for-1 special on their op, taking down their second with that. Now we do see the attackers reeling a little bit, having to very carefully consider what they want to do. Ops on both sites means that no angle is safe, it appears. Akubar as well, just holding now. And Mox, if you're in this situation, how do you deal with it?
Well, unfortunately, you just have to use those smokes to try and block off these sites. Because there's a reason Always Rush B bolt into those two ops. It wasn't just for mid control, it's because they knew Off Your Feed weren't going to push A with the results of how those went the last times they tried it. B is just as dangerous. And Off Your Feed, they're just forced at the moment try and find any pressure. Hope that always Rush B are going to get impatient. Start to come search for these remaining 3 players and that you'll be able to find that advantage with kills.
30 seconds left.
See the main lineup for B being handled by Off Your Feed. They bought a lot of time off their own clocks, however. Swarm Grenade dealing a lot of damage to Tangelo. Gonna be unable to heal that for the time being until they can set up the
Last
wall.
player
It's gonna be
standing.
Chobama taking down Citron, and now it's looking very grim for the
seconds left.
one remaining Omen who has to try to go for the plant. Does eventually get it down, but taken down almost immediately afterwards. And with this, the defuse will come through. This is going to shirt up for It's Always a Rush B, and with that, we have taken just about the longest set of matches we could here, Mox. It was a thrilling one.
It was a nail biter of a series. And I don't think there's any other way, Waltham, that we can describe that one because, my goodness, it really did seem going into that side swap that Off Your Feed were at a significant advantage. But when you pick up 6 rounds on your attack, that means you only need to pick up 7 on your defense. And we saw exactly what happens when the defensive side is able to get the economy on their side. Those operators are so hard to walk into, and the way that Impact he played the operator, that they didn't go for the greedy picks, that they didn't put themselves into line of fire immediately, and were instead able to continue to be that suffocating presence that always was there in A Rafters, always had to be smoked off, so much utility burnt. You just weren't able to get around it, unfortunately, and even then, when that A site was just completely ignored, the second operator coming out, the game sense, the understanding that they're just gonna avoid it like the absolute plague. Really some amazing play coming out from both sides, and Off Your Feed did such a good job. There were so many moments
Yeah.
that I'm sure are gonna stick in my mind, as I'm sure yours and Waltham, the viewers at home.
Yeah, definitely some highlight moments there. Some definite thrills to be walked away from with this matchup. However, it will end up going in a favor of It's Always Rush B. And Mox, if I understand right, we will be having a little bit of an interview, a little bit of a sit-down fireside with one of the players. However, that will be happening on the other side of this break as we get everybody settled in, folks. So stick around. We'll get some final words from one of the members of the winning team. Hello and welcome back, folks. As I promised, as I personally promised all of you at home, we do have a special little interview here. It's going to be, you may know him as Hey Ray from our last game from It's Always Rush B, but me, Mox, we're cool with him, so we're just going to call him Ray. Ray, hello, congratulations, and well, an even bigger congratulations on winning the overall tournament.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a really tough series, and there were some really amazing teams, especially Facebook, who
Mhm.
hopefully we put together a good series, and yeah, hopefully everybody enjoyed that as much as we did.
Well, I know that for myself, I certainly had a ball watching you guys perform here. But I want to ask, we just got off of Ascent. We saw a lot of op play kind of coming through particularly the back halves of the second and fourth quarter, I guess, if you want to prefer to call it that way. But was there a huge commitment towards the op strategy for you guys, or was it kind of something you adapted into? I guess was it a practice strategy or something that you just adjusted?
Typically, we like to have at least one op. It will either be Brandon, which is Impacty on the Reyna, or myself. But today I wasn't really feeling it, so and Brandon was. So I think we wanted to get more aggressive. That's really been our calling, especially with the two Kevins. So uh, having an op fall way back usually doesn't really benefit us as much. And so what we're looking to do, sort of mid game through especially the last two maps, is try and just get Pigmaster out of the equation. He's an incredible op, especially on that jet. So trying to just work those picks. Facebook is incredibly organized and skilled, and so we wanted to try and just hold angles to see if we can get some. And for a couple of those rounds, it really did work out.
So, from our conversations with you in the pre-shows, we know that you guys do an awful lot of research into the teams that you're going to go up against, this being the grand finals. Just how much work did you put into preparing for this?
I would say we definitely practice a lot more than we usually do, which definitely helps. And with Facebook being streamed occasionally on corporate Valorant, we were able to sort of see their strategy, which sort of gave us sort of their style of play. But I would say, I mean, the only VOD that we had was on Bind, and we definitely got stopped by them on it. So I think honestly, on the third map, I really just take a step back and told them, hey, told my team, hey, just do our thing. Let's not get them in our heads as much, and just click heads. So I mean, we're definitely more on the fly. We like to sort of start off with a certain strat, but dependent on certain things, we like to kind of improvise. So.
Okay, so the second that you said we watched the VODs, Icebox got played last week.
Yeah, yeah.
Saw you guys order that icebox.
It's
Oh, you beat one icebox last week. Is
uh,
there any correlation to that, or was it all coincidence?
No, Icebox really just isn't our map. Again, I mean, in our last interview, I was saying that we really don't practice as much as I would like, and so Icebox really just wasn't in the equation. I think it was essentially during bans, it was either picking our poison between banning Icebox and banning Bind, which we believe is Facebook's best map. And so we thought that with the VODs and just with our inexperience on Icebox, it was better to ban Icebox. So, I mean, then again, we still lost on Bind because they're incredible there, but in the end, it still worked out.
Okay, well, I know you're in a little bit of a hurry, so I promise this will be the last two questions.
No
First of
worries.
all, putting you on the spot, it was an incredible series, and we saw some amazing, incredible moments. Is there anything that stood out particularly for you, whether it came from your team or whether it came from anything that you did?
Sorry, what was the last question?
Is there anything that was a standout moment for you that either you yourself pulled off or that your team were able to pull together?
I was just really proud of the rest of the team. I was not playing very well on that last map. Even though I did get those two picks early on the very last round, I mean, we couldn't have gotten there with the rest of our team. So it was really just them trying to carry me through, and sort of me sitting back, letting them do their thing, and really just trying to calm everyone down, clear comms, and doing the right things.
Well, second off, you guys are the big old grand champions. CEA does run this event seasonally. Are you going to be back next year to defend your title?
We definitely will be back. It's been super fun. I've met 3 incredible teammates. I know the other teammate, and it's just been super fun. So we'll definitely be back, and we're really looking forward to playing all the great teams too. Again, Facebook, incredible. Have to give a shout out also to Google, to Clutch Shuttle. There's just so many. Our Amazon B team, GM, they're all really good, and they're only going to get better. So it's really gonna hopefully push us to get even better as well. So we're really looking forward to defending the crown.
Well, fantastic. Once again, Ray, we know you're on a time crunch, so we're going to go ahead and let you go here. But real quick before we let you go, any shout outs you wanna throw towards the team, the audience, anybody in general?
Shout out to obviously my teammates Brendan, Kevin, Isaac. Shout out to Derek, Pham, who was an incredible 6-man for us. He filled in at amazing moments and did a really good job there. Shout out to Sean from our Alexa Rush B team for organizing all of this. This couldn't have been done without him. All the captains on Amazon and especially the captains on the other teams that I've been sort of communicating more with. Citron, Zwegus, shout out to them too. It's been really fun.
Well, fantastic. Once again, Ray, thank you very much for coming in here, answering a few of our questions, hanging out with us. We appreciate your time. And once again, a huge congratulations for coming out victorious on this tournament here.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
And of course, Mox, that just about wraps up our festivities here for today. However, I would be remiss if I didn't remind people at home that registration for next season is going to be open. So if you're interested in that, go to CEA.gg. I'm definitely looking forward to casting some more Valorant, some more Overwatch, Rocket League, whole bunch of different games. So definitely get your sign-ups going there if that's something you're looking forward to. But until next time, I've been Sir Waltham, joined by GotMoxi. We have appreciated you guys tuning in for our grand finals here for Valorant in the Corporate Esports Association. And until next time, we look forward to seeing you. Take care and stay safe, everybody.